The list we've got a game of football to play here. But looking forward to this one. The referee today is Graham Scott in the traditional black kit on the day. And a few more teams have made their way safely through to round 4. Derby, Stoke, Blackburn and Walsall the winners today. Cardiff and Leeds, dramatic game leading to a replay. Bristol City and Swansea also drawing the other game. And obviously, you know, not as spectacular as this one, but Man City and Chelsea are playing at this time as well. And Oxford against Arsenal tomorrow. But it's been a brilliant weekend so far. Let's hope this game lives up to it. Steve Evans will make his presence felt in his dugout area, there's no doubt about that. He's never backward in coming forward during the course of a game. He's enjoyed a lot of success as a manager and now has another opportunity to take a team to the big stage. The mascots are running off. 3 little chaps in white, the Stevenage mascots, along with a Villa supporting youngster who waves to the crowd. He's enjoyed his moment, he's waving to the crowd, he's maybe got some family up here. So if you pay the cash to have your kid as a mascot, you want them to enjoy themselves as much as he is.
Yes, exactly, yeah.
Tremendous.
Get your money's worth.
The Holt End finds its voice now, the music's turned down. Stevenage will get us underway. They're kicking from left to right on BBC Radio WM and on Sports Extra. Towards the Holt End, and it's launched right-footed by Dan Sweeney out towards the left-hand side. It'll take one bounce and it's allowed to drop out of play by Matty Cash, returning to regular football after his trip out to the FA Cup. In a bit of a battle for his place in Premier League action at the moment, because Ashley Young has done so well over on the right-hand side for Villa. And it's Stevenage who try to come forward down the left-hand side. Neat little flick on by Rose, wouldn't quite break though for Norris. And Villa were able to pick it up deep inside their own half with the Belgian international, another World Cup man, Leander Dendoncker. Here's Douglas Luiz out towards his left-hand side. And Augustinson back to Douglas Luiz, who got the second goal in the win at Tottenham last weekend. Very neat finish, laid in by John McGinn on that occasion. It's interesting. So we'll just look and see what shape that Villa might be playing in this at the moment. Dendoncker looks to be the deepest lying of the midfielders. Might be a bit of a diamond to it as the ball over the top intended for Bailey is well read by Piergianni and cleared down the left-hand side by Clark. There are appeals for offside, but that's going to bounce harmlessly through to Robin Olsen anyway, the birthday boy, all in orange at the far end. But nobody necessarily at the moment stepping up into the natural 10 position for Villa.
No, not at all. And the way Stevenage just started, just from the centre of the kick-off, they placed the ball into Villa's half, got them turned. They've had a couple of opportunities with the ball out wide, and they've thrown the ball forward. They are not going to mess their game up at all. They're going to play the same way. They're going to put Villa under pressure, get them turned, and make it a physical battle.
And whatever Stevenage like to do on a regular basis, it's been very, very effective in League Two this season. They've got defending to do here as Villa come forward down the left with Augustinson. Gives it up to Coutinho. Short 1-2 with Douglas Luiz. And they're still left at the moment. Bednarek squeezes it down the line for Augustinson. Inside for Coutinho. Quick feet, looking to turn away from Taylor. Closed down by 3 Stevenage shirts, but it's laid out by Dendoncker to Douglas Luiz. Douglas Luiz cutting inside from the left. Sanson wanted it, and he gets it now. And his second appearance of the season, Sanson threads it to the right side of the penalty area. Ings, tight angle, plays it off the defender, and out of play for a corner.
Nice and bright, good play from Aston Villa. They kept the ball, showed a bit of calmness. Stevenage were trying to get the press on, trying to win the ball. Coutinho's at 2 or 3 touches of the ball. He's moved the ball, he's popped it off quickly. And by the time they get the chances, just Morgan Sanson just slides the ball into Danny Ings. He's a bit too wide of an angle to get a shot in, but he's got a corner from it.
Douglas Luiz has been the man on dead balls this season by and large for Villa. He goes out to the right-hand side. Coutinho is offering as the short option. They've only got 5 up inside the penalty area at the moment. Dendoncker's inside the 6-yard box. Chambers is coming from deeper. Bednarek is holding on to Piergianni as it's tight towards the near post, helped on by Danny Ings through the 6-yard box. There's nobody acting as a predator there, and when Stevenage get it clear, Morgan Sanson has caught the heels of Jordan Roberts, and that'll be a free kick to the League Two side, 10-12 yards inside their own half. Nice flick on by Ings, but nobody backed it.
Decent ball into the box, and as you say, Danny Ings has got the flick on. No one's gambled, because that is a great opportunity to strike on goal there. They know what Danny Ings is going to try and do. They've obviously set it up, and everyone's just had a bit of a breather, and no one's really gambled and thought, oh, I might get something there. And the Stevenage not get off the hook. but it's maybe something that they'll look at again when they're defending.
Unai Emery does like a ridged, padded coat. He's got one on again today. As the ball is delivered from the free kick by Ashby Hammond out towards the far side. It's nodded down towards Roberts. Roberts trying to make ground to the left side of the penalty area. He's squeezed out there, but they're battling hard to win the ball back, Stevenage. They concede a throw eventually over on the far side, the Villa right, but they're very quick to get around the ball early on. Foul on this occasion, though, by Reeves.
So they're quick to get around the ball. They'll play long throws. They'll go and place the ball into areas. They'll go and try and win the second ball and go and play from there. Villa passing side will want to keep possession of the ball and slow the tempo of the game down. Stevenage just pick it up. So for 60 minutes, this is going to be a very interesting game.
The away record has been based on being solid. 11 games, 11 goals scored, 11 goals conceded.
Exactly. You don't change there. It's working for you. Keep doing it.
Taking 17 points in those games, which is pretty effective. At home, they are almost unstoppable. Here's Sanson, right side of the centre circle. Neat little turn to find space to find Douglas Luiz, who's coming up from his left. Through the inside left channel, the reverse flip by Coutinho, helped back on by Ings. Coutinho thought that he was buffeted off the ball there. The referee not interested. And Augustinson able to put a bit of pressure on, but isn't going to be able to get beyond Dan Sweeney. Ball out of play for a goal kick.
Augustinson will be trying to push him on as much as possible. He's not really gambled there. That's another opportunity. He gambles, he puts a bit more pressure on Sweeney there. But yeah, I mean, the game's just starting to take shape again. But Stevenage are going to play the same way. Whatever happens, 60th minute, they'll be playing the same way. They'll be trying to force the issue. But it's going to be, like I keep saying about how interesting. It's just good to see Villa come up against a completely different style.
Douglas Luiz out to the left-hand side, and Augustinson inside his own half, headed away by Wilding. Hoping to get it beyond Bednarek, but as it turns out, the offside flag has gone off, and it was Norris who was too far forward. So a free kick to Villa inside their own half. You wouldn't expect anything other than a very competitive Stevenage side, and already that's what we've seen. Might be some space over on the right here for Villa, though, as Douglas Luiz arcs it out towards Sanson, cuts inside, eventually lays it back to Cash, who didn't commit too far up the field. And they have to work it back to the centre, 40 yards out, and Douglas Luiz, then Donkin out towards Sanson, who's the furthest wide. Cash offering behind him. Bailey making a run off the ball into the penalty area, but that's not seen, or at least the angle wasn't possible. Showed good patience here. Coutinho getting himself turned again against Taylor. Now looks to fire from 25 yards, and he's got that all wrong. Maybe sat up a bit as he tried to strike it, but he whistles it well wide of Ashby Hammond's left-hand post.
Yeah, in his defence, he'll say, as he checked back inside, there's only one thought in his mind. He's trying to bend it into the top corner, but as you say, got it all completely wrong. Got under the ball, and it's gone out for a goal kick. But Villa will try and be patient, will try and keep hold of the ball. It's be interesting to see how Sanson does, because he's not really figured at all. And all of a sudden he's got an opportunity here, so he's done nothing silly at the minute. He's just been nice and simple, kept the ball, slipped it into Danny Ings, but he's just feeling his way into the game.
He's been at the club for a full 2 calendar years now, Morgan Sanson, January arrival in 2021, and he's only played 22 games including this one. This is second this season, 28 years of age now.
Yeah.
Just wonder whether he might be one that would be available if anybody's interested.
I would imagine him or his agent, they'll be saying they've got to either get football here or he's got to go somewhere and play football. He's 28 years of age, like you say. He needs football. He needs to be playing regular. I think at times it's not been his fault that they haven't used him, but at times he's not helped himself either. But he is a talented boy.
Now the chance for Stevenage to get a long throw into the Villa box here. Max Clark in his rather luminous orange boots has dried the ball on his shirt and on the Stevenage left, about 16 yards from the byline. Takes it short towards the edge of the penalty area to get it back. Crosses it into the middle, headed away by Callum Chambers. Stabbed a bit further clear, and then good two-touch control by Leon Bailey, who could put on the afterburners here very quickly into the Stevenage half. Ings is being joined in the middle by Coutinho. Bailey looking to find an angle on the edge of the penalty area to get a cross in. Tackle ricochets out towards Sanson. Stevenage did really well to bustle bodies back towards the edge of their own penalty area.
They're going to do that as much as possible, get bodies around the ball. Leon Bailey's carried the ball 60, 70 yards there, but the effort of the Stevenage players was brilliant because they were determined to get back and get around him. 9th
minute, Villa 0, Stevenage 0. On BBC Radio WM and Sports Extra, Gary Thompson alongside Richard Wilford. Villa had a lot of the ball without really creating anything yet. They'll try again down their right with Cash, who gives it short to Bailey. Bailey 30 yards out, infield to Dendoncker, who wasn't expecting that pass at the time. Awkward looking control, gave it back to the Jamaican international. And now they switch play towards the left. Coutinho looking to have room for a shot, hasn't got it, instead gives it to Augustinson. Stands it up at the far post, too deep for Dendoncker. Away on the volley from Roberts, and out for a Villa throw 6 yards from the byline over on the right-hand side. They're not packing the box, Villa, and they did get Dendoncker forward that time.
You've got Dendoncker forward, you say Augustinson is going to play the ball in, and if Cash is playing on the other side, you need your wide player to get inside to the edge of the box, get in around the box to go and attack things that's coming out the other side.
Villa with a wasteful ball down the right-hand side this time, overhit by Callum Chambers. This back four that Unai Emery is playing today, they've been starved of football. Only Bednarek's 4th appearance since arriving on loan from Southampton. Augustinson, the left-back, who's on loan from Sevilla. This is just his 5th game of the season. And Callum Chambers, it's his 7th. So, underused. Well, you can debate whether they're underused, but not heavily used this season.
And Augustinson, I think he got a long injury as well. Got into the team, and got a game, and all of a sudden he got a long injury. So, like, for him, it'll say it's not been his fault, right? But he came on the other day, and he was very, very good.
Boos for the challenge by Clark of Stevenage on Sanson, who won the foot race over on the far side. Clark came second and took man, not ball. One or two Villa players suggesting there should be more than just a free kick for that. But the experience of the Villa fans in the last 2 years would be that they'd be more anxious to whether Morgan Sanson was going to get back up, because he has been prone to knocks, largely muscular, but he is on his feet, and the free kick is only a few yards inside the Stevenage half. And he's just taken short by Cash to Dendoncker, who turns round to find 3 white shirts already closing him down. They're going to have to move the ball crisply and quickly.
Stevenage's shape, it's going to be, as you say, move the ball quickly to break him down. At the minute, he's quite slow and ponderous with the move of the ball.
Bit of space on the left-hand side for a moment there for Augustinson. Peeling further wide is Coutinho. Stabs it infield for Douglas Luiz, the return ball. Coutinho, another sharp turn, but he shows a little bit too much of the ball to Wilding. He was able to toe poke it out of play on the near side. And Villa's throw routine doesn't work very well. The return pass from Douglas Luiz was too strong, and by the time Coutinho flicked the ball back infield, it had already crossed the white line. So a throw to Stevenage, which Sweeney will come across to take.
Well, Stevenage, you're going in little blocks, and that you look at the first 10 minutes, first 15 minutes. Don't give them anything silly then, see if you can build yourself into the game. So far they've got to 10 minutes, no real problems. Aston Villa haven't caused them at all. Villa have had a lot of possession, not causing them a problem. So you'll be looking now, can we get to 20 minutes and maybe to try and nick something.
Tidy footwork from Bailey on the left side of the centre circle to keep the ball alive. Flicked on by Coutinho for Douglas Luiz. We've seen a lot of the ball in the early stages here. Looks to move the ball to create an angle for a pass to Dendoncker, who ignores the obvious ball to Cash, and they start to come left again. And Coutinho for Augustinson, should be onside here. Gets the cross in towards the far post, should be headed clear by Clark. Second ball won by Cash. Finds Sanson back to goal 25 yards out. They move it centrally for Douglas Luiz. He fancies a shot left-footed. Good save, low to his left from Tay Ashby-Hammond.
Good effort from Douglas Luiz. I mean, to be fair, you're not going to beat the keeper at that distance. Ashley Hammond, he's fell on it. It's a lovely save for one for the photo album. But at least Villa have had a strike on goal. But they've moved the ball. They've got the 2v1, and Augustinson crosses the ball. But as you say, they've got to get more bodies into the box when they do cross the ball.
It was from a similar distance last Sunday that Douglas Luiz had a shot at Tottenham that Lloris fumbled, and it led to the opening goal. There's been a clash of heads here, so we might have a slight delay. Danny Rose is one of the players who's down on his haunches. The Villa player was Bednarek. He's picked himself up, and as it turns out, it looks like neither of them need attention. Graham Scott is just checking that they're both okay. And is he giving it as a free kick, or did it go out for a throw, or what is it? Well, the referee wants the ball delivered to him, so he can take the drop ball, which I presume will be uncontested, about 15 yards in front of the Villa penalty area. And Villa is going to carry on with play. I didn't know whether they were going to give it back to Stevenage. Very interesting while Stevenage were waiting it to see the shape that they immediately got back into. This is a very disciplined side. You can see why they've enjoyed success in the league this season. And they look to play it through on the right-hand side for Norris. Bednarek's start position was good enough, though, for him to shepherd it back to Robin Olsen.
say Stevenage is set up the way they're set up. They're very, very well organised, very well drilled. Quick, get back into a situation where you can't break them down quickly. The likes of Coutinho, if you can get the ball and move the ball quickly, go past someone and slip a pass, all of a sudden you can break through your defences.
Bailey apart, there's not a lot of pace about this particular Villa side. There's speed of thought, of course, with the likes of Coutinho and the experience of Danny Ings. But they're not very often going to hit them with pace. And it is more of a 5-3-2 than a 3-5-2 because the two wing-backs will sit pretty deep, understandably, against Premier League opposition. And the defending Bailey now, who's tight to the touchline on the far side, the Villa right, thought he was going to play a 1-2 with Sanson, but he got the ball trapped between his legs, and Stevenage were able to prize it clear. And then they couldn't find Norris to hold the ball up. And Rose slipped as well, as he tried to get it under control. And Villa come left. The pass for Coutinho was slightly heavy. He slides into a challenge with Wildin, who emerges with the ball. Coutinho slow to pick himself up, and after a couple of ricochets, the home side win it back with Ludvig Augustinsson. Coutinho looks a little bit second-hand after that. He's got to understand that he's going to have to be sharper and sharper and sharper if he's going to break this team down.
Well, that's it. You more or less waited to about 60-70 minutes otherwise, and hopefully they get tired.
Cash with space, helps it on to Bailey. The return ball intended for Cash, who was being held off it by a good piece of defending, tracking back by Jordan Roberts. Very diligently followed his man, because there was a moment there where Cash drew the left wing back Clark towards him, poked it past, and then was able to chase on towards the return ball. If Roberts doesn't chase that back, Villa are probably in.
As you say, they're very well drilled. They know their jobs. No one's going to let their teammates down. But just as you say, Coutinho, Leon Bailey, they're the two with the ability. If Villa move the ball a lot quicker and get it to them a lot earlier, they can maybe do their bits to allow the likes of Danny Ings to get himself free around the box to get a strike at goal.
16th minute on BBC Radio WM and Sport Extra. Aston Villa 0, Stevenage 0. Still goalless between Manchester City and Chelsea in the other tie that's currently underway. Gary Thompson, the voice alongside me. Striker formerly of Villa amongst others, but a man who enjoys watching this club week in, week out.
Oh yes.
Don't complain, do you? Here's Bednarek looking to float the ball forward. It was chested down by Piagiani. He was a little bit fortunate that Sanson didn't make the most of the second chance to play it through. Piagiani was able to deal with it once more. But Villa almost win it back inside the Stevenage half. Again, they retain their composure. And Clark looks out to Roberts on the left-hand side. Now there's an interesting ball behind the back four for Norris. Norris with a cross, chance, and 1-0 to Stevenage, and now the flag goes up. The ball was tucked home by Danny Rose. It was neatly worked, but as is the way on Premier League grounds, which have VAR available in the FA Cup, the flag, when it comes late, and it was up against the initial run from Norris on the left-hand side. And it is very, very tight.
Very tight. Look at it there, like it does look, there's very little in it. Good ball across the box, but as you say, good composure just to make sure you get the finish, get a good connection and get over the ball and get the ball in the net. I mean, Stevenage have not really caused Villa too many problems, not really moved the ball too well. They've been quite direct in what they're trying to do, but that's a great bit of play just down the side, walked into the box.
VAR is checking this, and it is going to be very, very tight close indeed as to whether Norris had gone too soon or not. There's still hope for the Stevenage fans on the far side.
From that angle, it looks like he might just be off, but really, if the Stevenage get the goal, this becomes a proper game of football.
He may just be inches behind Matty Cash, on the wrong side of Matty Cash, and therefore the offside flag may well be proved correct. We're seeing a still frame on the screen constantly. It may well be that they go to the slide rule and the marker pens to try and determine it. And nobody in the West Midlands has got a huge amount of faith in VAR and offsides after last night's game between Liverpool and Wolves, by the way. But we'll see what the decision is. But still, the check is ongoing. It is that tight that the check is ongoing.
Got to say, that's so tight, that does.
It really is very, very tight. And the offside decision stands.
The longer it went, I think it was always going to go against him. Considered themselves very unfortunate.
The one thing they'll take massive hope from is that they got in behind quite easily there. Now, you know, not because somebody's miles offside, because somebody's millimetres offside. That goal is disallowed.
I got themselves into an area, lovely ball, slid down the side, good ball across the box and good finish. as you say, give him a lot of heart. That.
I'm not saying VAR is clunky and the systems are clunky, but play's been going again for another 30 seconds before the VAR complete message comes up on the screen. Bizarre.
It needs to be done a lot quicker if it's going to be done, but it's still a poor show. There's a lot of people not happy with VAR at all. It seems to change as well, the decisions each time. As you say, even stuff like the Wolves thing in Liverpool yesterday. It's just so clunky at times, as you say. A good word, actually. I'll use that, clunky.
There you go, you can borrow that off me. 19th minute, 0-0. Stevenage clearly now have come far closer than Villa after scoring in this game. Because Villa haven't really created anything. They've got some crosses into the Stevenage penalty area, but nothing that's caused too much of a problem. One near post flick on by Danny Ings went into a vacant area. And seeing a lot of the ball without really looking like they can puncture the organisation of Stevenage. Jake Taylor seems to be spending a lot of time chasing Coutinho and keeping him honest. Villa moving on the right hand side, little flick in field by Bailey. Sanson managed to get to it. He felt he was tripped. Play on, says the referee, and Cash's ball inside the fullback for Bailey is too strong. It was the right pass, mind.
Yeah, idea was right, just execution. He's just put too much on it.
And looking long out to the left hand side again. Lovely control, Stevenage, for Luke Norris. Pouring up on the outside, a couple of players. One is Roberts. He chooses to go back instead to the second arriver, Clark, who crosses from deep, headed towards goal, and it would be going wide, which kept in by Olsen, but it was another opportunity for Rose. Norris and Rose have linked it up very effectively in the last few minutes, and the width of the wing-backs when they come forward.
I take it to mark from this, Steve. The goal was disallowed, obviously, but they're starting to move the ball well. Even though it's a long ball, the centre forward's done well, got hold of it. They're bringing people into play, they're getting balls into the box as well. They seem to be the side, not the aggressors, but they're taking the game more to Aston Villa. Villa got loads of possession, but not really going anywhere at all.
It's not about how much of the ball you have, it's about what you're actually trying to do with it. And Stevenage have used it with a bit of pace and a bit of imagination. And Villa are trying to play quite a high line against them as well. Stevenage getting lots of bodies behind the ball. 8 outfield players behind the ball, 9 now as Sanson's angled pass into the penalty area bounces harmlessly through to Tay Ashby-Hammond.
Yeah, we saw Leon Bailey start making his run, and Leon Bailey stopped. He still played the ball through, and the keeper read it quite easily. But that's when you need Leon Bailey, Augustinson and Coutinho to push on and really gamble.
They're going to need more imagination, the home side, to break down Stevenage. That's why the FA Cup is so intriguing, and it's proven that way again and again over the course of this weekend. A lame ball in field by Coutinho is easily cut out for the visitors by Sweeney. Now they play it in down the right hand side this time. Norris with the cross, and he's played it in between the two men in the penalty area. Roberts had committed into the 6-yard box. Rose had pulled back towards the edge of the area, and it slid diagonally in between the two of them, to the frustration of the Stevenage bench. And now Sanson is leading the charge for Villa, threading through to the penalty area. Return ball. Sanson's shot is blocked inside the penalty area. It was Terence Van Kooten who stretched out and blocked it with his right foot. The first meaningful attempt at goal. But that was much better work from Villa. 2 quick passes on the edge of the penalty area, and suddenly you've got half an opening.
Well, they had to as well, because you can hear from the crowd, they're murmuring, they're not happy with what they're seeing at the minute. They're not getting to the point of booing, but they're just feeling, come on, move the ball a bit quicker, liven up. Stevenage had 2 opportunities, and they've got one which disallowed, the other one which has just been played between the two centre forwards. So you're saying, well, come on, then liven up a little bit, move the ball a bit quicker, cause more of a problem.
They've not really seen their team stretch Stevenage at all.
No.
And we've been playing almost a quarter of the game here. Augustinson being forced back by the presence of Luther Wilding. There's Douglas Luiz on the little reverse. Coutinho goes down, wants a free kick, doesn't get it, picks himself up. Stevenage won't worry, they carried over halfway with Clark. Jordan Roberts pulls wide on the left-hand side. Infield for Reeves, and laid back by Taylor to the centre of defence. And Van Kooten. Sweeney to his right, turns away from the on-rushing Danny Ings, gets a cheer for that. Playing a little bit too much maybe around the edge of the road penalty area. Now they'll look to break further forward. As Wilding gives it to Reeves, who again looking at the diagonal, got the angle wrong this time, but Cash scuffs the clearance. Clark's ball gets back to Piagiani. Excellent pass in field for Taylor. Works up towards the edge of the penalty area. Was Taylor taken off the ball? No, says the referee. 2 Stevenage players down. Neither of them were fouled.
I just think from the fact that Stevenage had a goal disallowed. From there, they've took heart. They look the better side, the more aggressive side. They've moved the ball into areas to cause Aston Villa problems. Villa had a couple of efforts, but Villa's still playing in second or third gear when they need to raise their tempo a bit. Stevenage look quite content the way this game's going, and they must be getting more and more confident each minute of the game goes on.
When either Norris or Rose pulls wide when they win possession, the diagonal has been on. And they've got in behind Cash, they've got in behind Augustinson.
Yeah, and they're over-covering anyway, so there's plenty of space for them to pick the ball up.
Manchester City lead Chelsea by a goal to nil. Mahrez the scorer. As Coutinho looks to create, fires a shot, it takes a deflection, and if anything, the deflection made life a little bit more comfortable for Ashby Hammond in the Stevenage goal, because it took some pace off it and it looped up and he caught it in front of his face.
Yeah, he's always going to take the ball down the left-hand side, always looking to check back onto his right. And say deflection just took the sting off it a little bit. Easy save for the keeper, but Villa still, even though they've had the odd shot, really need to raise their game a little bit. They need to move the ball quicker and need to get the ball in the box to the likes of Danny Ings, in and around the penalty area, so he can do his bits and bobs. He's hardly had a touch of the ball at the minute, and Villa are moving the ball much too slowly for the manager's liking. I'm sure he'll let them know at half-time that this is not acceptable. It's too slow.
Coutinho twice, Douglas Luiz once have had shots from outside the area, Morgan Sanson from the very edge of the area. Steve Clarke and his coaching staff will be thinking, well, fine, you're going to have to do pretty well to hurt us from those sort of areas. Can you do anything in our penalty area? The three centre-backs have been sturdy so far. Van Kooten got the block in when it was needed, the only time it's been needed. Keeper's handling has been secure when that's been needed. And they've looked really sharp when they get the ball, and they're using it quickly when they get it. At the moment, they're just holding their position as Villa, in the end, find no route forward. And it's won back by Clarke, an attacker with Bailey. Neat little turn to move further away from Bailey, who's tracking him all the way down the touchline. In the end, Clarke is tackled by Bailey. It goes out of play off Max Clarke. But he's made, after winning the ball off Bailey, he's made about 55 yards down the left-hand side.
Play to direct, he's just trying to move the ball, carry the ball. Leon Bailey's has to go all the way back. Leon Bailey doesn't want to go back with it, but fair to him, he stood his ground and he's
yeah, good pressing from Stevenage there that halted Tomo in his tracks, but Villa were able to clear it, and they win the second ball because it wasn't a great header from Sweeney. And Douglas Luiz is trying to inject some pace through the centre circle and then threaded a ball through the inside right channel, expecting Danny Ings to make a specific run that Danny Ings wasn't making, and it rolls harmlessly behind. It's a goal kick. It's still 0-0 in the 26th minute.
And it's still very bitty from Aston Villa. They're picking the ball up, they're trying to get themselves going, but when you start at a low tempo, it's hard to pick yourself up. Stevenage now be looking at this and saying, hang on, if we can nick a goal here, but all of a sudden we've got something to hang on to, and they will defend for their lives then. Aston Villa really need to raise the tempo of the game, because you go goal down today in this type of game, it's very difficult to get yourself back into it.
There are very few gimmies in the FA Cup these days at this stage, particularly when you're up against an informed side like Stevenage, who are bringing it to the table today, seizing their moment to make the right impression. And but for a hair's breadth that led to an offside flag, they could well have been in front here. And they have a throw about 20 yards inside the Villa half, and they're willing to send certainly Sweeney forward for this. The other two centre-backs will stay back as it's thrown down the right-hand side, and Sweeney is still up as the cross comes in, and it's going to be hanging in the air for Olsen in the end. Luther James Wilding got too much air underneath that, in truth, but good to see the commitment of having a centre-back forward, because it wasn't a standard set piece, it was a throw that was actually taken short. Then Donker wins the ball back in midfield for Villa. Bailey has to jostle with Clarke on the far side, and keeping it in, he allows Clarke to make a challenge, but he then gets trapped under the legs of Bailey. He still has possession, he's forced back further into his own half though, and in the end it's the pass back to Matty Cash that provides the relief. Chambers, they're going to drive up towards halfway, has Augustinson outside him, back into his own half, and Bednarek on loan from Southampton. Douglas Luiz back to Augustinson, swept in field for Chambers. And again, Stevenage are in shape. Ball over the top looking for Danny Ings, who will chase it down to the byline, and I think he can prevent the goal kick in giving away a throw about a yard and a half in front of the byline. Sort of ball that maybe would have favoured Ollie Watkins over Danny Ings if Watkins had been playing.
Yeah, Danny Ings doesn't want them type of balls. He will chase them, he will have a go, but really he wants little balls slid at an angle in and around the penalty area or down the channel, then instead inside the fullback and centre half, as opposed to being chasing a 30-40 yarder where he basically saves it from going for a goal kick.
Very little width going forward from Villa, particularly down this left-hand side. Well, Gustinson has got a couple of crosses in, but doesn't overcommit, and Coutinho always wants to cut infield onto that right foot.
And Cash not pushing on either. If the ball does go into the box, there's no one really trying to flood the box.
And actually, the way that Stevenage have hit the ball on the diagonal, it's kind of forcing Cash to stay back in the back four. If both fullbacks push forward, Villa are going to have a problem. It's all credit to Stevenage so far, but now Dendoncker looks to open it up on the right-hand side for Bailey, who's one-on-one against Clark, goes outside him, down towards the corner flag, decent-looking cross, oh, it's too far for Ings, he's down in the penalty area, Coutinho's got it under control, he fires a shot that takes a deflection. Well, no deflection, it's been given as a goal kick. Danny Ings has got his arms out because he thought he saw something. Coutinho is making nothing of it. So I think we can reasonably assume that Graham Scott has got that right. And Graham Scott is also giving Danny Ings a bit of a lecture. I think he feels that he went down very softly inside the penalty area.
When you see it again, Danny Ings got straight up and threw his arms in the air, and he was expecting the referee to give him something. Coutinho's picked the ball up, checked back onto his right, trying to bend the ball or trying to put it in the top corner. Never really going to cause him a problem, but at least Villa's starting to get the ball wide and try and deliver. But you need, as we said before, you need to flood the box, get bodies in and around the box and people on the edge of the box. So if he does come back, he can have a strike at goal. Cameras
have been intent at finding Steve Evans periodically, and he's very much seated during the course of this first half. He's letting the rest of his coaching staff do the touchline job.
I would imagine the longer it goes on, it won't be too long before you see him out there giving his opinion to some of the players and urging them on.
Well, other than the fact he might wish that the goal had stood rather than being flagged offside, he's going to be absolutely thrilled with everything else.
He'll be very happy with how it's gone so far.
Yeah.
The organisation has been superb. It's a bit of credit to Steve Evans and the coaching staff, what they wanted to do against an Aston Villa side that you'd expect to be stepping onto the game a bit more.
Past the half-hour mark, Villa 0, Stevenage 0 on BBC Radio WM and 5 Sports Extra. Gary Thompson alongside Richard Wilford at Villa Park, where we're seeing an extremely competitive tie, which hasn't come as a huge surprise to us. With us before kick-off, I thought this might be the sort of tie that is very tricky for a Premier League team. The ball is played off the referee there, so that's going to be a free kick. Manchester City have got a second goal against Chelsea. Alvarez has scored from the penalty spot. Mahrez got the first. So Manchester City looking like they're closing in on another victory over Chelsea. 2 in a row this week. Early days, I suppose. We've seen the 2-goal lead squandered earlier today in the game between Cardiff and Leeds.
Man City don't look like a side that's going to give away too many goals.
No. I mean, they're decent, Tom. Yeah. They're decent.
Worth watching every now and again.
Yeah, just a bit. The winners of that tie will play Oxford or Arsenal. The winners of this one will go to Stoke in the next round.
Worrying thing, Bednarek's got no movement. He's picked the ball up. Chambers said the same thing, looking for a bit of movement. There's no real movement in front of them. No.
It's all a bit short at the moment, isn't it? But here's Sanson, who is himself very short of first-team football. Douglas Luiz in field for Coutinho. Pretty triangles here, but Stevenage are quite happy watching that because the ball's in front of them. They can keep an eye on it very easily. Coutinho 30 yards out, sort of to the left of the side of the penalty area. Back to Dendoncker. Dendoncker, it's all static for him. He can only use Matty Cash to his right. Cash down the right-hand side for Bailey, who's come deep to receive. Back to Dendoncker. Closed down so quickly there by Jake Reeves. They have to go back into the centre circle to Villa. And Chambers finds Bednarek. Bednarek looks up, there's nothing on apart from Coutinho, short to his left. Coutinho has Augustinson on the touchline, but as usual wants to cut in field and does. Angled forward towards Bailey. Now this time Cash had room to come on the overlap, but Bailey lost the ball and Villa have to regroup, having won it back.
Which won't encourage Cash to go on the overlap too many times.
They thread it through here. Ings, nice layoff, a chance for Morgan Sanson, and Villa open up Stevenage for the first time, and Morgan Sanson puts them in front with his first goal for the club. It was a straight ball through the middle for Ings, but it was a very neat layoff. Sanson the runner, one touch to control, the second to tuck it to the right of the keeper. 33rd minute, Villa's first real chance, and they're in front. Villa 1, Stevenage 0.
Moving the ball really, not really going anywhere. All of a sudden they play a nice little triangle. Ball gets to Danny Ings. He's got runners going beyond you, and that's what you need in a situation like this. You've got to have your 2 attacking midfield players going beyond, drawing up with the centre forward. Danny Ings has played beautifully into Sanson. He's finished it. Stevens, you'll feel slightly hard done to because they have been caused no real problems with Aston Villa. Aston Villa have not really threatened them too much, kept the ball, gone square and back, not really looked forward, not really tried to get risky reward, finally moved the ball forward. You set the forward, receives the ball, plays it around the corner, and Sanson 2 touches. First touch is going a little bit wide, but then he finishes it.
In the last 2 years, Morgan Sanson has dealt with a lot of irritating injuries. He's also dealt with being out of favour with a couple of managers. As much as anything, he might just have reminded himself he's a footballer, really, with that goal and what it feels like. But that was very well taken for a player who has had so little action. And Villa look to come forward again. Coutinho is well tackled there by Wilding. Won back, though, by Augustinson. Bednarek in field for Sanson, might be buoyed by that. 40 yards out, just rolls it to his right for Matty Cash. Fortunately, from Stevenage's point of view, Tay Ashby Hammond got his angles wrong on that as well. He offered 3/4 of the goal to Morgan Sanson. And the angle from behind reveals that. Here's Augustinson back to Coutinho. Returned to him by Douglas Luiz. He's 45 yards out to the left of centre. Bit of rain in the air. But Villa leading there by a goal to 0.
So now Villa can keep the ball and move it slowly and move it square and go out wide to the fullback and come back into midfield. They can because they've 1-0 up. Earlier when you're trying to get yourself,
Coutinho with a flick over the top, hoping to get Bailey, and that's well dealt with by Piagiani. They've given it away though to Sanson, who tried to angle it through the wings. Probably should have tried to score his second.
That's a great opportunity. Sanson controls the ball and he's got to get a shot in. He's tried to be too unselfish. You give Danny Ings the ball, he gets cut out.
As Chambers has, well, he looked like he was second to the ball eventually. I mean, that was a long time before the referee gave it, but it looked like a cast iron foul by Chambers on Jordan Roberts. An attacking free kick here for Stevenage and a chance to load the box. I mean, Roberts is turning into the challenge before the contact, but it's still a foul because he can't get through the man to win the ball.
And so Chambers cannot get the ball. He's lent into him. He's given away the free kick. It's a decent area for Stevenage to go and throw the ball in. They are decent at set pieces as well. So this one will be very interesting. They're going to hopefully try and get something back before half time, but they're still in the game at the minute.
Free kick will be taken by Jake Reeves, 29-year-old, signed from Notts County. And they've got a reasonably high line, Villa, about a yard outside the penalty area. Plenty forward for Stevenage. Roberts standing inside the penalty area in an offside position, as he knows that if it's flipped back across he'll be okay, and it's delivered in towards the 6-yard box. It was Dendoncker stooping who got ahead to it. There were appeals for handball. Now VAR could come into play. Meanwhile, Villa are breaking with Sanson on the right hand side. Stevenage have done well to get a lot back. Sanson looks to switch play to Coutinho, chesting it into the penalty area for Augustinson, who gets it back again from Coutinho. Cross in from Augustinson. Good challenge by Piagiani to block the header of Ings, and then a scuffed shot by Bailey. And will that be allowed to go out for a goal kick? It will, and that will enable VAR to maybe have a look at what happened inside the Villa penalty area. The cross came in, and it's hit the back of the top half of the arm of Dendoncker as he stooped to try and head it away. And I think that would be a fairly unlucky one for VAR to rule against you, and the indication at the moment appears to be that play is just going to continue.
Yeah, as you say, you consider yourself incredibly unlucky to be given a penalty for that incident. It's decent ball into the box from Aston Villa, and you just need a little bit more from them. Like, they've got the goal, they're nicely poised at the minute, but you know Stevenage is going to come back at your second half. They're going to start throwing, gambling and throwing things forward and trying to get something from this game.
In the current vernacular, and we're having to get used to these various aspects of how people talk about VAR. Handball is a particularly contentious decision, but I believe you would argue that his arm was in a natural position. As in still screwed into his shoulder. But just over 7 minutes of normal time left in this first half on BBC Radio WM and 5 Sport Extra. Villa 1, Stevenage 0. Morgan Sanson, the unlikely goal scorer, is first for the club. And had he chosen to take on the shot himself. He might have had two a few moments ago when instead he tried to thread it through to Danny Ings to return the favour. Very neatly cushioned pass by Danny Ings to lay on that goal for Sanson, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's what you're saying forward to. Sometimes just be a wall. You see someone running beyond you, you can play them in. As you say, his first touch took him a little bit wide, but the goalkeeper did help him with his finish as well.
Ball's ricocheted back out towards the left here for the visitors, and Norris cutting inside, firing towards goal, and that has skimmed the top of the crossbar on its way through. You could see Olsen's footwork suddenly getting a little bit anxious. That was a very bold attempt. It had to travel a long way, that shot from Luke Norris, and it just flicks across the surface of the crossbar.
That's a decent effort from Luke Norris. He knows what he wants to do. He's come back onto his right foot. He's trying to bend it, and most times it's going over the bar, but he's caught that beautifully. He's just clipped the top of the bar. That's a great effort, that.
Stevenage born Luke Norris as well. 9 goals this season. He's got a decent pedigree in the FA Cup. 4 goals in 5 appearances for Stevenage in this competition in his career. And he was very close to another there. Earlier he thought he'd created one for Danny Rose, his strike partner. They are a handful, those two. Manchester City have a third against Chelsea. Phil Foden has got it. The murmurings about Mr. Potter will continue,
yes,
which is very harsh because Chelsea are in the midst of a bit of an awkward rebuild, I think.
They are trying to buy an awful lot of young players as well.
Yeah.
Players not just for the now, you're buying players for the future.
It should be pointed out as well that his predecessor wasn't exactly a red-hot success, was he? So there's a reason that somebody else had to get the job.
Well, he started off really well, Tuchel, but as I say, things fell away from him a little bit.
Remember us being there, watching Villa games twice in 3 weeks at Chelsea last season, and you're very close. The commentary position is very close to the dugouts, and Thomas Tuchel was an entertainment in himself. How entertaining it would be when you're the player on the receiving end of something, I've no idea.
No, that would drive you mad.
Yeah, it was hard to take your eyes off him.
It did become all about him, to be fair.
Not since the touchline excursions of Paolo Di Canio as a manager have I seen anybody capture the attention quite like that. Bailey has been dispossessed on halfway. Stevenage come again down the left-hand side with Roberts. Roberts arcing cross towards the far post, and Olsen doesn't take it cleanly, but he's not actually under that much pressure. So he picks it up on the bounce, having seen it slip through his fingers the first time, rolls it out to Dendoncker. And Villa, either side of the goal, have shown a little bit more desire to stride forward, to run into space, to create passing angles for themselves a bit more.
Well, the goal gives you that bit of confidence. You can move the ball a bit quicker, plus you know you've got something to hang on to now, and you feel you can step onto the game. Stevenage, I think they've done ever so well, very, very organised, but really they have to come out of it now and hopefully nick something to make a game of this.
Jacob Ramsey's been doing a lot of warming up in the closing stages of the first half, and Unai Emery would love to have him back after a hamstring problem, so may well get some minutes today. As Coutinho overhits a ball that was intended for Solso, who's made some good runs off the ball. The angle was just too tight through to the keeper, Ashby Hammond.
Well, you've got to have willing runners to go join up with the centre forward or get beyond the centre forward as well. And to be fair to Sanson, he's tried to do that a few times.
Nice flick on though from Rose out towards the right-hand side for Stevenage. Wilding with the cross, and that's catching practice, I'm afraid. He didn't get that right. There were only 2 in the box room to aim for, and he split them. Not helped by the fact that Rose had taken quite a bang in flicking it on, and now he's covering at right wing back to allow Wilding the chance to get back into position. That's the discipline of this Stevenage side being shown just there.
They all know the jobs, and they all know they've got a feeling for their teammates as well. As you say, a good little flick as well. You're expecting a decent ball into the box. When it doesn't go, he fills in for his teammate.
They're a really good unit. I mean, just impressed the way they play, Stevenage. A little bit of quality has been the difference in terms of the flick by Ings that laid in Morgan Sanson for the only goal. And we're into the last 3 minutes of normal time at the end of this first half, and Douglas Luiz 35 yards out to the left. Oh, on towards Ings, who tried to help it on towards Coutinho and got less of the ball than he intended, because Coutinho was scampering through that left channel. And they'll have to come again. Cash has been in very reserved mode over on the right-hand side. Ashley Young getting a rest today. I mean, really made the right-back position himself his own in recent weeks. Cash needing a bit of a break after the World Cup. Here's Augustinson. Not much room for him to work in. There was a ball infielder, Sanson, that he turned down there. Sanson did let him know that he felt a wee bit snubbed. Bednarek steers it to the right-hand side, and Cash a content in possession for a moment, not wanting to allow Stevenage too much life before half-time with his 1-goal lead. Towards the right, and Bailey making the run inside him. Over there is Dendoncker. Bailey skipping in field, thunders a pass towards the near side that Augustinsson has to hurry back to gather on the bounce, chests it down, and then finds Coutinho. Infielder Douglas Luiz back to his fellow Brazilian. Villa must have put together about 15-20 passes here. Forward towards Douglas Luiz with his man at his back. Good turn, angled the right side of the box. Bailey forced down towards the byline, slips as he tries to turn it back. Puts his head in his hands. Ings and Coutinho, who were trying to get into the 6-yard box, wander back, and Ings now in the captain's armband gives a round of applause for the intent by Bailey, who maybe could have sensed an assist was on the cards.
The time was right, the chance was perfect for him just to concentrate, be composed and play the ball into the box, but he slipped and it went out for a goal kick. But as you say, your captain Danny Ings is encouraging him after what's happened the other day for Leon Bailey. He needs to get it out of his system. He will get an opportunity to maybe nick a goal, but yeah, his confidence must be a little bit low at the minute.
Can't imagine there's going to be an awful lot of added time at the end of this first half. Maximum of 1, could be less, we'll see. 30 seconds left of the initial 45, and Cash does stretch this time. Sprints into the Stevenage half, puts the brakes on, then looks for options. The cross, oh, and it's steered away by the thighs of Dan Sweeney, diving rather awkwardly at the ball, but it was effective. It got it clear. Villa win it back. And on the edge of the centre circle here with Douglas Luiz. Cash out to his right, forces him to run forward onto the ball. Just touched to Bailey. Into 1 minute of added time. Douglas Luiz 30 yards out in central, flicks it back to Dendoncker. Coutinho, left-hand side, can he create another opening for a shot maybe? Steers the ball in field, Douglas Luiz return pass, Coutinho goes down, thought his legs might have been clipped by Taylor. The referee says no, and he's had a play for a goal kick.
Would have been incredibly unlucky to give anything against that. I mean, Coutinho's played the ball, Douglas Luiz tried to lift it, but he's trying to get between two bodies and he's gone down. He's never going to get anything for that. But like you say, Villa done okay in this first half. Really do need to raise the tempo a little bit. You can expect Stevenage to come out the second half and really have a go at it. Probably get to a point where they think, right, all guns blazing now to see if we can nick something from this game and take it into.
Douglas Luiz was really trying to thread the eye of a needle there, and the thread was wider than the eye of the needle. But yeah, it wasn't really on, that ball. No. As the referee looks at his watch, and when the ball is cleared downfield by Villa, which he'll do at some length, the half-time whistle will go here at Villa Park. And at the moment, you would say it's according to what the form book would dictate. Aston Villa, the Premier League side, lead League Two Stevenage by 1-0. But the trouble they had getting into that position and the disallowed goal for Stevenage, we've also seen them strike the crossbar through Luton Norris, who laid Danny Rose in for the goal that was disallowed. Stevenage have given every bit as good as they've got in the first half. They've
made a game of it. They've come here, you know they're going to be solid, you know they're going to be organised, you know set pieces they're going to have an opportunity, but they have actually played the ball into areas and caused problems for Aston Villa. Aston Villa have been they've been competent in what they've tried to do. They're not going to move the ball too quickly, they're not really caused too many problems, but Stevenage, the manager, apart from the goal, obviously, you'd be delighted with the way it's gone the first half, and you'd be saying there's something here for us if we can just step up the game. A bit more quality in the final third, we're playing balls into areas, but there's something here for Stevenage.
And they're probably going to have to step up again to kill this off. You're quite right in that Stevenage, having fallen behind, didn't need to change anything yet. No. They could play up to 75 minutes at 1-0 down, and it's only then that they might have to really up the ante.
Exactly. You say, as long as they don't give away the second goal, there's always a chance for them in this game. And at Stevenage, what they've shown in the first half, been very competent in what they've tried to do. They've kept the ball, they've actually played some good balls into areas down the channel to cause a bit of problems. They've had a shot that's hit the crossbar, they've had a goal that's been disallowed as well. You have to say on the balance, Stevenage would go in the dressing room, disappointed to be 1-0 down, but quite happy with the way they've performed today. Their fans will be very pleased as well, and there's something in this game for them.
Whole of the second half still to come, live from Villa Park here on BBC Radio WM and 5 Sports Extra. But at the break, it's Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0.
The A to Z of Raheem Omar at breakfast. So up to N now. What does that stand for?
Nish.
Yes.
There is no one else like you, Nish.
I believe that. I can actually believe that. What can I say? I'm wacky, I'm random, a bit strange, a bit eccentric.
And that's why we love you.
Yes.
Nish is like a breath of fresh air in the office. He's such a wonderful part of our team. He has such an amazing rapport with people when he goes out, and a brilliant journalist as well.
Yeah, the one thing I appreciate about Nish is that he is able to talk to anyone. He understands so much about different people's cultures and backgrounds and experiences. He can just talk and pick up a conversation.
And that is what I absolutely love. I get excited about the unknown, and that's what I enjoy and love every day doing what we do here.
Rakim Omar at breakfast. Back in the morning when you wake up on BBC Radio WM.
And for those of you who are listening via Sports Extra, at that same time tomorrow morning when you wake up, you'll get Big Bash Cricket. The Hobart Hurricanes and Melbourne Stars, they play 8:15 tomorrow morning. So far today in the FA Cup, in the other game at 4:30, Manchester City lead Chelsea 3-0. Mahrez, Alvarez a penalty and Foden. Earlier today, Bristol City won, Swansea 1 in the lunchtime kickoff. Semenyo with the equaliser for Bristol City after Joel Pirot had given Swansea the lead. Derby County went through with a comfortable 3-0 win over Barnsley. Leeds United bounced back from 2-0 down to take Cardiff City to a replay it, and that'll be at Elland Road in around 10 days' time. Perkins with the equaliser 3 minutes into added time. Stoke City moved through. They'll play the winners of this tie in round 4. They won 3-0 at Hartlepool today. Blackburn Rovers 1-0 winners at Norwich. Vale the scorer of the only goal. And Walsall were victorious. The Saddlers will take on Leicester City of the Premier League in round 4 after a 2-1 win at Stockport. The goals described by Rob Gurney.
Long ball down the middle. Monte comes to win it with his head. Now Johnson got a sight of goal. Goes for the early one, and it's gone in! Hinchliffe, it was off his line, got hands on it, but couldn't keep it out. And Danny Johnson has his 14th goal of the season in front of the 1,000-strong Saddlers supporters, many of whom come pouring towards the front of that open stand. Johnson spotted Ben Hinchliffe off his line. Hinchliffe got hands to it as he desperately backtracked, but only succeeded in helping it into the Stockport net. Danny Johnson will get the goal. It's Stockport 0, Walsall 1. And the Saddlers, through McKenty, are able to clear it away, but not very far. It's retrieved by Hussey. Hussey with the cross, turned on, back to Madden with a shot. Equaliser from Paddy Madden. That's what he's capable of. Sends the ball into the top corner of the net and denies Walsall a place in the 4th round of the FA Cup. At least for now, it looks like a replay back at Bescott. 12th corner, Wilmot with it. It's headed away by Hussey partially, but comes back to Wilmot, sends it in again, headed away. Kinsella's there, and there's a big shout this time. Penalty!
Come on!
There's a penalty. Liam Kinsella went down inside the box, and the referee has pointed to this penalty spot. It's Williams against Hinchliffe. Yes! Cut in! Hinchliffe went the right way, but was never going to keep that out. It's a fabulous penalty by Andy Williams, the hero of Edgeley Park again, and Walsall heading into round 4 of the FA Cup. Deep in added time. Stockport 1, Walsall 2.
Amazing the record that Michael Flynn, the Saddlers manager, has in the FA Cup. Never went out in the first 2 rounds when he was in charge of Newport County. Now he's taken Walsall through to round 4. After the game, he spoke to Rob Gurney.
Michael, what a climax to that game. That was some cup tie, wasn't it?
It was a fantastic game. Like I said, it's 2 good teams. Stockport were they're a very good team. They're a team I've got a lot of admiration for. The management team as well, they're doing a fantastic job. It's all good saying they got a lot of money, but I think Dave has handled that extremely well, especially last season, getting them out of the league, which is a tough thing to do. But look, it's about us today, and let's enjoy it while it lasts.
And Andy Williams had some cojones to step up and take that penalty at the end, didn't he?
Yeah, listen, Andy's cool, calm, collected. He's been there, seen it, done it. He's experienced, and do you know what? That goal alone is probably more than paid for his contract for the whole year.
In front of, wonderful support.
It'll be more than double, actually. Right. So, fair play to him.
In front of, wonderful supporters again today.
I said the Hats half time. I said we're going to score a few in front of our supporters today, and thank God we did.
And Danny Johnson's lob was some finish as well.
I wouldn't say it was a lob. It was an hell of a strike. He's hit it like an arrow. But it was he's caught it sweet as a nut. I don't think you'll catch it any better. So it's nice that you got a goal outside the box. And like I said, look, I don't care where he scores from. He's been fantastic for us. And look, you never know. This might give us a bit more money to get certain things over the line. Yeah. And I know the chairman won't thank me for that, but he knows I mean it in good spirits. And
you got the penalty at the end. You should have had one at the end of the first half, shouldn't you?
Yes, we should have. But I have, look, I try and be honest and fair. Whether that was over the line, I don't know. I couldn't see that. Sorry. It was a penalty, but Tom is going down. I'm not saying easy, but he's making a little bit more of it than what he should have. And he needs to get that out of his game because, yes, it was a penalty and he was fouled. But come on, don't make it easy for giving the referee an excuse, because that was his get out of jail card, that saying the way that he went down. But if you look, he's pointed to the spot, the referee as well. His left arm has gone to the spot. So. Yeah, I don't know how he wasn't given, but look, I don't care now because we have got away with it.
And the players have produced that performance for Jack Earing maybe in particular, because you've just said there he's unfortunately looks like he's got a serious injury.
Yeah, he has. Well, it looks like it's a serious injury. We'll know more. He's having a scan tomorrow, MRI, hopefully.
On his knee?
On his knee, yeah. It's innocuous. Look, we're not having no luck. It's either we don't get injured or it's a 6 to 12 month injury. So we've had a lot of bad luck. When you look at it, we'll probably say we've had a fifth of our budget gone, just not being able to use on injured players this season, and it is tough.
Michael, many congratulations first of all on the win, and then we've just found out together that you've got Leicester at home in the next round.
Yeah, look, it's fantastic. I'm absolutely over the moon for the football club, the players, the supporters, everybody connected to Walsall Football Club. So that's a big thank you from myself to them. Yeah, it's a good day.
Certainly is a good day for Michael Flynn, and here's the great coincidence. In 2019, as manager of Newport in the FA Cup third round, his team beat Leicester City. So he gets another chance at them in the fourth round in 3 weeks' time. Outstanding. I'll run through the rest of the fourth round draw in a moment. But what about the man who kept his composure to score the penalty deep into stoppage time? Let's get the thoughts now of the Walsall striker, Andy Williams.
Andy, what a climax that was, eh?
Yeah, I think deserved for us. I think we deserved the win in the end. I think we were much better than when we played here previously, and we owed Stockport one. So yeah, it was a great feeling and nice to get the win.
And of course you're used to a late goal at this place. You'd scored one in the league game and again today, but a high pressure penalty, wasn't it, today?
Yeah, obviously last minute of the game, but I was more confident to step up and take it. I think a few of the other lads were after it, but I thought at 36 maybe the responsibility should have been on me, and yeah, thankfully I stuck it away and put us in the hat for the next round, which was a great feeling.
And you've got Leicester at home now in the fourth round. What's your reaction to that?
Yeah, I just heard. Yeah, it's brilliant. For any club at this level, to get a Premier League club, it's a good chance. Maybe to get on TV again and a bit more money for the club, which is important. Keep it running and brilliant for the fans. Who get to, instead of watching League Two football all the time, get to come and see a Premier League club at the home ground. So yeah, brilliant for the club, and I'm sure we'll all be delighted, and hopefully the lads will be delighted when I get back in there.
And the fans today kind of helped. Well, suck your penalty in, didn't they, right at the end?
Yeah, they've been incredible. The away fans, especially here in the league and now in the cup, the following that we brought and the noise that they brought was, I think we helped at the end by the pressure we were putting on in the last 5 minutes of the game. But yeah, like you say, they were basically sucking the ball in anyway and didn't feel like we could miss, especially when 12 yards out just against the goalie. And
apart from the one Stockport chance second half, you created by far the better opportunities throughout the game, didn't you?
Yeah, I felt like that. I think it was always tricky when you go 1-0 up, not to just sit back, and we defend so well that we did it and did it quite well for long periods, but in the end just offered them up too many chances, which they eventually took. But straight away we got back on the front foot, and I think it showed the character of the group that we could bounce back straight away again and put more pressure on them and get the deserved win.
And just lastly from me, this feels like a football club now, Walsall, that's moving in the right direction on and off the field, doesn't it?
Yeah, massively. I think so. I think that's a massive credit to what the gaffer and Hats are doing here, and they've brought in, I'd like to think, the right people in players and staff around the place, and yeah, they've got a real good atmosphere in the club, and I think everyone can feel that around, and hopefully we're moving in the right direction now.
Andy Williams, who was the Saddlers' hero with that stoppage time penalty. Second time he scored at Stockport this season. And great victory for them. Stockport had beaten them at home a couple of weeks ago in the league. The Saddlers bouncing back today to earn that fourth round tie against Leicester City. The rest of the draw for round 4 of the FA Cup, in the order it came out: Preston North End against Tottenham, very attractive tie. Southampton against Blackpool. Wrexham at home to Sheffield United. Ipswich Town will take on Burnley. Manchester United against Reading, big day for Paul Ince. Luton Town or Wigan will play host to Grimsby Town. Derby County against West Ham. The winners of this tie between Villa and Stevenage, Villa leading 1-0 at half-time, will go to Stoke City at the end of the month. Blackburn will be at home to Forest Green Rovers or Birmingham City. Blues will have a chance to finally get that game played the week after next, after the waterlogged pitch down at Forest Green. And having sat in the car park next to the ground, it really was absolutely drenched down in Gloucestershire. Also Leicester City, as I mentioned. Sheffield Wednesday against Fleetwood Town. Manchester City or Chelsea, well, it looks like Manchester City are 3-0 up at half-time, will be at home to the winners of Oxford against Arsenal. West Bromwich Albion, if they get through in their replay at Chesterfield, will go to either Bristol City or Swansea. Wolves, if they can get through their replay against Liverpool, would go to Brighton. It's Fulham against Sunderland, and Boreham Wood or Accrington Stanley will play Cardiff or Leeds. A lot of attractive ties. 3 weekends' time those matches are due. Of course, for BBC Radio WM listeners, we've still got the Birmingham City tie at Forest Green. We've got replays for Wolves and West Bromwich Albion. The third round will rumble on. Before that, on Wednesday, we cut back to the Carabao Cup. Nottingham Forest against Wolves. We'll have the whole match live on Wednesday night. And then on Friday, Gary Thompson and myself will be back here at Villa Park for Aston Villa against Leeds United in the league. We're about a minute or so away from the teams returning for the second half, and you know, Steve Evans' team talk, Tomo, would have been fairly straightforward for Stevenage in that carry on doing exactly what you're doing.
Yeah, just more of the same. You've done ever so well. Just sometimes you just need a bit more quality in the areas to deliver balls into the box, but apart from that, the manager, the coaches, the way you've set up against this Aston Villa side, he'll be very pleased with the way it's gone. Disappointed with the goal, but you're playing against a Premier League side, they will carve you open every now and again, and it was a lovely goal. Danny Ings is the wall as it was, where the focal point played into Danny Ings, played it around the corner, Sanson got the touch on the goal. But apart from that, as a manager, you'd have to say, we haven't caused them too many problems. It's more of the same, lads. We can get something from this game.
Unai Emery might want to see a bit more tempo about his side in the attacking third. If they get another goal in front at that point, he'll probably be keen to get Jacob Ramsey out there. He's been missing for a few weeks with a hamstring problem, but to have him back available for the next few weeks would be very, very useful.
Yeah, I mean, Jacob Ramsey started off, he did ever so well when he got into the team. Dean Smith gave him the opportunity, and a few fans was like, oh, he's not really doing an awful lot, but bit by bit he got better and better, and to parts of last season he was one of the star players. He got his injury now, but he has been a very, very good player for us so far.
Graham Scott, the referee, with the match ball sitting on his left palm, comes out and leads the teams for the second half, and they both emerge at the same time, which is sometimes rare at the start of a second period. I note Jordan Roberts is one of those players that likes to do a couple of hops as he crosses the touchline, 2 on his right foot. That's his thing. Many footballers have superstitions. Tomo probably had one, but I doubt you want to mention. I don't know. Dread to think what it was.
Don't really want to talk about it, to be fair. I used to try and go out last, and there's everyone else that try to go out last, so in the end I was in the middle of the pack. So yeah, in the end, when I got to a certain age, I realised that superstitions were a load of nonsense.
You were just grateful to be playing, to be honest.
I'm delighted to see being around the team.
Former Villa, Albion, Coventry striker Gary Thompson alongside Richard Wilford at Villa Park on BBC Radio WM and Sports Extra. Doesn't look like either team is making a change during the half-time interval. Looks like we as you were. So for Stevenage, Ashby, Hammond in goal, Sweeney, Van Kooten and Biagini, the centre-backs, Wilding and Clark, the wing-backs, Roberts, Reeves and Taylor in the middle, with Rose and Norris the front two. They've been lively. Villa with Olsen in goal, Cash, Chambers, Bednarek and Augustinson at the back. In midfield, Sanson, Dendoncker and Luis, with Coutinho, Ings and Bailey the furthest forward. The home side kicking towards the biggest contingent of home fans in the Holt End in this second half, in their claret and blue shirts, white shorts and blue socks. Stevenage almost entirely decked in white, but of dark trim, particularly around the shoulders. And they're a little bit more towards their supporters who are on the side, over on the far side, as Sanson finds Bailey. Bailey, first attack, drives the ball into the box, it's repelled, straight back to Bailey, tries to steer it into the path of Coutinho. His shot was blocked inside the 6-yard box. Douglas Luiz now will roll it to Augustinson. Augustinson finds Ings, turns it towards Coutinho, bit into the air, and then Bailey fires wide. Did it take a deflection? No, say the officials. But Villa, with probably 2 or 3 chances to double their lead.
Tried probably 2. They've moved the ball, they've played it into areas. Danny Ings is trying to flick a ball over his shoulder, and it's come, and Leon Bailey's had a strike. It's on target, it's going in the goal, but at the minute things aren't just dropping for Leon Bailey, but Villa just kept the ball in an area, moved it quite well. Morgan Sanson, lovely little turn which opened it up. Just gone past the player, you've got players either side here, he's just opened his body out, he's took it past the players, and all of a sudden that opens the attack up for Aston Villa. Instead of playing square on all the time and going backwards, Sanson opens his body, opens up the play.
I don't want to be harsh on Philippe Coutinho, but many a striker would have flung themselves at that and made it 2-0.
Yeah,
where it was a slightly half-hearted header.
I don't think that's his forte. I don't think he wants to get involved in that sort of situation, but yeah, every now and again when you're playing up front you have to throw your body in.
As we saw last season, he doesn't mind a near post header from a set piece. That one where there might be boots and bodies around was not quite so much to his fancy.
Yeah, he wanted none of that.
No. Nearly worked out a defence here by Villa. And here's Sanson, needed to go early to Bailey, who has to check his run to receive the ball now. Dendoncker is very quickly offering as an extra forward player. Bailey, as he stumbles, does well to pull out a back heel to find Sanson. But the challenge by Biagini was enough to slow the Villa attack, and they work it back into the centre circle. And Bednarek through the inside left channel to Douglas Luiz. Lays it behind him to the left, and Coutinho exchanges passes with Augustinson, and now infielder Danny Ings back to goal, lifts it away from Jordan Roberts, and now Cash running into a space. Thought about the shot for a moment, he was being implored to have a strike by the fans, but now here's Sanson near the corner of the box, right hand side. Bailey hasn't really got the angle for the cross. Little dink infielder Dendoncker, first time layoff and Cash, and they'll recycle it. In fact, they're going to go all the way back to Robin Olsen on his 33rd birthday. All he wants for his birthday is a clean sheet, I would imagine. Don't know, might want a trinket, a few bottles of wine, who knows. Here's Sanson angling it, hoping to find Ings. It was cut out in the centre by Van Kooten, and then Stevenage got a bit fancy trying to play it away. It was won back by Sanson, then Coutinho is bounced off the ball when Ings tried to thread it through. The referee will rule it a shoulder charge. Certainly doesn't think it's a penalty, and Stevenage can breathe again, but playing the ball around their own penalty area a little bit too loosely on that occasion, and very nearly paid the penalty.
Yeah, I imagine Stevenage would be too happy with that. I think obviously if the opportunity to play a nice simple ball, play it, but they don't want to play too much around their own penalty area, because Villa did get the press on, won the ball. All of a sudden Stevenage were in a load of trouble and just about got away with it. The Coutinho thing for me was never going to be a penalty, but you've got to try and play for it.
Villa are pressing at the start of the second half. We've had nearly 4 minutes of it. They lead Stevenage by a goal to 0, and they're brighter, and Sanson has been at the heart of it. Nice turn here to get it to Bailey, who skims through the challenge of the defender and now reaches the edge of the penalty area. He's crowded out there. It might break for Sanson on the right. He's onside. Dinks across the far post. Augustinson on the volley. Good block in there. Stevenage again getting lots of bodies behind the ball. One back by Villa high up the field. Dendoncker lays it to his left. Little flip by Douglas Luiz for Coutinho. Back to Augustinson again. Augustinson left side of the box. Little flick. It's going to be cleared only as far as Douglas Luiz. They'll come again. There is a relentlessness about the start of this second half. Augustinson infielder Coutinho moves it quickly to Douglas Luiz. Back to Coutinho once more, opening up for a shot, and just like he did in the first half, he spooned that way wide of the keeper's left-hand post. It remains 1-0, but Villa are most definitely knocking at that door now.
Yeah, it's a lot brighter from Aston Villa. They're moving the ball sharper. Morgan Sanson on this twice. He's just opened his body out, and he's just committed players. He's gone past players. All of a sudden, he opens the situation up so they can go and play and go and attack Stevenage. Then they've played a couple of triangles, moved the ball quite well. Comes to Coutinho in the end. As you say, he's always going to come back inside his right foot. He will score a wonder goal before too long doing that, but at the minute he's still a little bit rusty. And at the minute each time it's gone well over the bar.
Without a goal this season, it's his 17th appearance. Some of them have been relative cameos. The As Danny Ings chases a long clearance downfield, Van Kooten is able to capture it and gets enough on the ball out towards the left-hand side. And Clark, who got rather done by Bailey in that last attack. And once or twice at the start of this second half, Stevenage have just belted it long to get it away, which they weren't doing at all in the first half.
No, there was a bit of a method to what they were trying to do. When it was going long, they had players going in support, players chasing it and getting the press on. Now, as you say, they're just clearing the lines a little bit. They're just having 5 minutes of respite. But every time you clear your lines, you've got nobody putting pressure on the ball. You're just giving possession away for Aston Villa to come back at you again and again.
Watkins, Buendia and Ramsey are all warming up at the moment, and they're all in shorts, which makes you think that they are probably going to be used at some point.
The last thing they want is someone like Ollie Watkins, who wants to stretch the play, going behind and get them turned all the time. Obviously Ramsey's going to get a little run out somewhere on the line.
Well, Coutinho, Ings and Douglas Luiz are 3 players whose legs may well be saved a bit for Leeds on Friday if they get the chance. Cash looking over the top here for Bailey. Great pace to get in behind the fullback. Turns away from Biaggiani. Looks to play it in for Ings. Ings has to ride a challenge and can't. They did a good job of crowding round him there, Stevenage. Wonderful run by Bailey. Now Douglas Luiz. He's got space for a shot. Fires it over the crossbar. That's floaty as well. Goal kick to Stevenage. 52nd minute. Still Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0.
The game is opening up now. Cash has picked the ball up and Leon Bailey, he's come towards Cash and then just spun in and he's just showing him where he wants the ball played. So a great amount of pace, picked the ball up, won the ball and he's drove into the box. He squared the ball across the box. They've had a strike at goal, but this is better from Aston Villa. They're just showing the golfing class, as it were. They're showing the ability to get strikes in the goal. Stevenage are hanging on a little bit at the minute. They'll try and ride it out for 5 minutes and feel their way back into the game. But the minute you're just looking at Aston Villa, they look more likely to get the next goal.
It's the period, the most concerted period where it's looked like a Premier League team against a League Two team, in that Stevenage's shape has been stretched for the first time.
Yeah, you can understand it because Villa have passed the ball, not really causing too many problems. All of a sudden they're moving the ball, they're getting themselves on the half turn, they're moving the ball forward. All of a sudden you're forcing Stevenage further and further back. They clear their lines and they cannot get hold of the ball. It's coming back at them again and again.
It's for just about the first time Steve Evans, the Stevenage manager, is on his feet, joining his coaching staff. As Bailey tried to create a give and go there for Morgan Sanson. But Sanson was able to turn it around the corner, and there's a foul inside the Villa half on Danny Rose. And Stevenage will have an opportunity. The set piece, it's a good 45 yards out and wide on the left-hand side, but Carl Biaggiani, the skipper, the centre-back, is very quick to get forward.
Just started to look a little bit heavy, Stevenage. It's a bit of an effort to get themselves up the pitch now. As you say, they've got to play the ball into an area, cause Villa a problem, but they just look a little bit tired now.
Biaggiani's a regular target. He's got 5 goals this season, matching the number on his back. He's got 5 yellow cards to keep that theme going, but yeah, it'll be free kick on the left for Reeves to take. 3 standing in offside positions. They can't go for the ball, so Olsen can couch it rather comfortably and looks to clear it downfield early, where Bailey is 1-on-3 and Unai Emery has got his calming down hands out at the moment. Didn't like that early clearance from Olsen. Wasn't the moment, and he's still trying to get that message, and Olsen puts up an apologetic mitt.
Martinez does that an awful lot. He picks the ball up and he tries to set people on the attack. Well, this time Olsen's tried to do it, but he was never going to get there. That's a free kick now for Douglas Luiz. But yeah, as you say, the manager's just saying, you calm yourself down, move the ball, and then we can go and pierce him a little bit. He's just basically looking at a foot racer one-on-one there, and he was never favourite to get there, Bailey, but it's a poor ball anyway.
There are competing voices, of course, because I'm sure Leon Bailey wanted the ball early to try and use his pace, but interested to see how long he plays today. As Coutinho finds a nice angle through to Ings. There are appeals for offside. Play continues for now. Ings finds Sanson, creates a shooting opportunity, blocked by Biaggiani, and the offside flag does now go up. Did look like Ings might be coming back from an offside position.
It's nice and bright. Danny Ings will pick the ball up as the focal point. He's got Morgan Sanson trying to be in support of him, receiving the ball, taking the ball and trying to bend it and got towards the goal. Ended up getting a deflection, but he was an offside as well. But they're nice and bright as well. You won a lot. You fancy yourself to get the second goal and finish this game off, and you can get bodies on the pitch as well.
Stevenage, I think, are going to make an adjustment in personnel before too long. The telltale slips are out and being written on at the moment. And they haven't had anybody warming up just lately, so Cash with a clearance header for Sanson, poked away from him down the left-hand touchline for Stevenage, and here's Reeves, reverse ball, Roberts joining the attack was muscled off it by Cash. It's worked back to Olsen, who gives Chambers the ball to try and get rid of it. He's hit it into an opponent, and here's danger. Cash with a block, might go out for a corner. No, it's cut out by Chambers. And Olsen with his second questionable decision in recent moments. That one could have been more damaging.
Well, he's held his hands up and he's more or less apologised for playing him the ball. The ball's coming back to him there. The last thing you want to do is play it to one of your defenders 5 yards from you. Play the ball up the pitch and then you can regroup from there.
The throw went well into the tunnel here, which is quite a large complex when you get down there. Took a while to retrieve. But Luther James Wilding is the specialist on the long throws, and he'll take this one towards the 6-yard box. Cash rises high with the header, but it's worked back to Wilding. Wilding onto his right foot. Good looking cross, met by Chambers though. Ings trying to hold off his man. Dendoncker can't quite complete the clearance. Wilding picks it up. Dendoncker in with another challenge. It still breaks Stevanage's way. Here's Roberts, corner of the penalty area, looking to create space for a shot, deflects behind. Corner to Stevenage.
Stevenage faithful. They've got something to hang on to now. They're applauding their team. They're having a bit of a go. So, as you say, it's only one goal in at the minute. Stevenage can nick the goal. It makes it a proper cup tie again. But Stevenage fans have got something. They've had a little bit of joy, and they've had a strike which has been deflected for a corner. Hopefully, they can get something, or for them, hopefully they get something from this corner. This time, the Guyanese international Van Kooten comes forward as well. He hasn't come forward for the long throws, but he will for a corner. He's got his hand on the back of Dan Sweeney. Piagiani's in between them now. As Rees prepares what will be an outswing, it will drop in front of the penalty spot. Piagiani with the header. Can't control it. It drifts wide of Olsen's right-hand post. But there is the danger that Stevenage pose from set pieces. You know they've got set piece danger, and all of a sudden the movement as well for the set piece. They've got so many bodies going round in circles, spinning in behind people. Piagiani's going to attack it, just couldn't get above the ball. But you could, as you say, you can see the danger they cause. And if they get balls into certain areas, corners, set pieces in the final third, they'll be throwing their bodies forward. More of the centre halves more and more forward to try and maybe get something from this game, get themselves back into the game first.
Olsen's given the ball away again, only Roberts couldn't get it under control this time after a puzzling goal kick manoeuvre that was just drawing Stevenage onto them. Maybe Villa want to stretch them, but they can do that by moving the ball quickly. They don't need to try and stretch the field in that way, particularly as they're leading the game. It was all a bit odd. One of those goal kicks with the goalkeeper in the centre of the 6-yard box and two defenders on the corners of it.
Yeah,
and one of them squares it for him.
Yeah, no one can. I can't understand that.
No,
you're just inviting people to come onto you.
There's great coaching, there's innovation, and sometimes there's applied lunacy. And that is in that category for me. Song Song's dink round the corner was neatly blocked by Clark, otherwise Bailey would have been away. Stevenage wanted a free kick. Song Song's almost caught that one. Have to give handball for that. It was hit up and at him, but it stuck between his hands for a moment before dropping to the turf.
I have to say he's been quite lively though, Sanson. He's tried to go and join up with Danny Ings. He's had a couple of strikes on goal. He's tried to maybe square a ball when he should have had a shot as well, but he's been quite lively. He's let the ball come to him. He's dead soft on the half turn and caused a problem by actually looking forward when he's received the ball.
Dean Campbell, 21-year-old on loan from Aberdeen, is getting ready to come on for Stevenage for what would be his 20th appearance of the season. But meanwhile, they launch a free kick that will drop a good 20 yards outside the Villa penalty area, and it's headed partially cleared by Bednarek up towards halfway. Wilding with the ball over the top, looking to see whether Norris can give Bednarek the run. And then once Bednarek heads it out of play, the flag goes up for offside. And again, this is a VAR game because it's on a Premier League ground, and the instruction is given to the assistants not to flag in case there's a goal until the incident is over. But Bednarek's not that thrilled that he had to chase back in order to put that ball out of play before the offside flag goes up.
It does take an awful long time for it to happen, and it's quite obvious he was coming back from an offside position.
There'll be a double change when Stevenage make it. They're waiting for the optimum moment. I always find that hard to judge as well when managers do that. Anyway, here's Coutinho out towards the left-hand side. Has Augustinson further wide. Goes back though to Douglas Luiz. And now Dendoncker in the centre of the Stevenage half. Rolled right for Matty Cash. Short layoff to Bailey. Back to Cash. Returns it once more to former Bayer Leverkusen wide man. Bailey with the outside of his boot finds Dendoncker. Receives it and opens up play for Coutinho. Coutinho to Augustinson. They've worked it well. Is there a punch at the end of it? Augustinson back to the edge of the penalty area, and Coutinho. Coutinho sees that Cash has a bit of space on the right. Cash drags it back and finds Dendoncker. It's side to side at the moment. A little bit mesmerising. Stevenage are keeping their shape though. It's Coutinho, left corner of the box. Augustinson hasn't got room for the cross. Coutinho might, no, turns it down. Douglas Luiz 30 yards out to the left of centre, back for Dendoncker. Coutinho is tracking back, the keep ball continues. Coutinho receives from Augustinson, lays off to Dendoncker. Dendoncker being implored to shoot. He's not going to be from there, mind you. Douglas Luiz might be more interested, but he just stops the ball, treads on it, gives it to Augustinson. Back to Coutinho. Coutinho, 30 yards out. Well, he's tried a couple from slightly less range, doesn't this time. Finds Cash, back to Douglas Luiz in the centre. Square for Dendoncker. Dendoncker leaves one behind him this time, up towards the edge of the area. Sanson digs it out for Cash. Cash doesn't quite get it in a crossing position though. They just start again, they revolve it. By Douglas Luiz to Sanson. Now he looks left and Coutinho. Quite repetitive. You haven't scrolled back 30 seconds. It's just a long period of possession. Lots of players moving. Bailey's gone central, finds Douglas Luiz, digs it out for Coutinho. Flicked into the penalty area. Well judged initially, the chest down by Van Kooten, but they've given it straight away, Stevenage. And here's Coutinho once more near the left corner of the penalty area. Back for Douglas Luiz, out towards Augustinson. Augustinson doesn't seem to fancy taking on the wing back, so he traces his steps back to Douglas Luiz. It's flicked through the middle this time for Ings. Little reverse flick, and then Ings with a snapshot that he fires wide. A lot of possession, probably 2 minutes of possession, but it ends with a pretty wild shot.
Yeah, I mean, Villa had so much passing there. They passed it time and time again. They tried to work the angle. It's gone out wide to Augustinson. He's negated, knocked it across the ball, checked back inside. He's gone back across the line. He's gone to Coutinho. He's gone into Santon. He's got himself on a half turn. He's trying to get past people. Then he's gone back out. He's gone to Cash. They've had about 25, 30, 40 seconds of just continued possession of the ball. Ending up having a minute, having a strike up over the bar. But yeah, as you say, almost mesmerising because they kept moving the ball, And sometimes, every now and again, just mix it up, throw a cross into the box or do something, because it becomes almost too obvious what they're trying to do and too hard to break down if you just move the ball 5 yards here, 5 yards there. You don't cause people too many problems.
Double change for Stevenage. Danny Rose, he thought he'd given them the lead before the offside flag went up in the first half. He's replaced by Jamie Reid, and Dean Campbell comes on for the left wing back Max Clark. Looks like Jordan Roberts might pull out to the left wing back position now with that change in personnel. Reid is playing up through the middle as Matty Cash lays it down the right hand touchline for Bailey. Bailey looking to tease Roberts. Sanson emerges behind him to receive the ball, gets down towards the byline, gives it back to Bailey. Bailey stabs it back to Douglas Luiz, looking to get onto the return ball down towards the byline. Bailey dinks it back. It's cut out at the near post by Stevenage, and they get it further away, only as far as Bednarek though. Norris looks like he's pulled up slightly lame for a moment here for Stevenage, having just made that double change. That will be a concern to them, as Sanson needs a couple of touches to get the ball under control. 35 yards out on the right hand side. Villa starting to probe again. They are moving the ball more quickly than they did in the first half. And here's Cash looking long on the diagonal for Augustinson. And well, I was going to say that Wilding judged it well, but he was a step short of judging it well. And in the end, rocking backwards, he's headed out of play for a corner. Yeah,
he read where the ball was going. He tried to get his body around. He couldn't just adjust his feet well enough and ended up heading that for a corner. But Villa just kept the ball, moved the ball. Ball's gone to Bailey. He's shown a bit of pace and directness, tried to get past people. Then Sanson tried to join in as well. So they have moved the ball an awful lot. They're causing problems. They've got an opportunity now from a corner. This is interesting.
And these aren't boos, these are cries of shoot, because Douglas Luiz does like to go for goal from corners, and this is low at the near post and turned behind by Roberts.
Yeah, what he does, he normally does in the middle of the goal or near post one, but then he tries to bend it in a second effort.
Jacob Ramsey and Emi Buendia are ready to come on for Villa, as Douglas Luiz actually takes the corner short this time for Coutinho. He lays it back to Augustinson. And coming short for him is Douglas Luiz. Plays Coutinho in left side of the penalty area. Low cross. Oh, and it should have been stabbed home by Chambers. And it's rolled agonisingly wide of Ashby Hammond's left hand post. Chambers could have polished off the tie there.
that is good second goal and good night. They played a short corner, ball's been played into the box. He'd not even look, just drill the ball across the box, and as you say, hovering around the 6-yard box. Chambers is coming, he's just got a toe to it, he's just gone the wrong side of the goal. But as you say, that 2-0, that finishes the tie.
Dan Sweeney had no idea that Chambers was about to get in front of him there, but at least got enough of a challenge in to prevent it being a clean contact. Buendia will come on for Coutinho, as you might expect, in the 66th minute here.
Well, he's had an hour, he's been nice and lively. I mean, he's trying to unlock a door, like pick a ball up, and he's trying to thread balls through. He's had a couple of strikes at goal, but as he hasn't played for a little bit, he came on the other night against Wolves. He needs more football to stop East Ruskin. Buendia's got a chance as well, because against Wolves the other night, he wasn't at his best.
It's the goal scorer, Morgan Sanson, who comes off in the second change. He's replaced by Jacob Ramsey. Steve Evans has 2 more changes up his sleeve, and I think the referee's going to wait for these to occur as well. Kane Smith is one of them, and the other is David Hamu, who's going to come on for Luke Norris, who looked a little bit hobbled a few moments ago. So Ryan Hamu comes on for Luke Norris, and the other player making way is Jake Taylor. Jake Taylor off. Kane Smith on. So 4 of the 5 changes they can make. Villa with this, it's still a slender lead, Tomo. That's the thing you need to remember.
1-0, there's always a chance you can get yourself back into this game. At 2-0, it's probably too much of a mountain for Stevenage to climb, but they'll be thinking, if we keep this at 1-0, eventually we're going to throw the ball forward, we're going to get a corner, we're going to get some opportunity to try and get ourselves back into this game.
Ashley Young, Boubacar Kamara and Caden Young are warming up for Villa. They still have 3 changes that they can make, and if they were further clear, then it might well be that young Caden Young could have the opportunity to make his debut. Doesn't turn 17 until a week tomorrow, so that would be a story. Although we're, of course, already a couple of years removed from when Villa had an entire bunch of teenagers out here playing against Liverpool in the 3rd round.
That's right, yeah.
Here's Cash on the right-hand side for Villa. In front of him is Ramsey. Gets his first touch. Gives it simply to Dendoncker. Villa would like to do more than just protect at 1-0. Chambers so close to getting the second. But here's Cash. Oh, that's a good ball forward here for Bailey. Not really picked up till he gets in the box, but he can't force it through to Danny Ings. Really good interception in the middle there for the visitors to get it away from Sweeney.
Lovely ball from Cash as well, just threaded it through. Leon Bailey's made the run, but as I say, his pass has just been intercepted, but Cash is just feeling his groin a little bit there as well.
Yeah, whether it's either his groin or his right thigh, as he stabbed that pass forward. He's stretching it now, and that may well force a decision. Ashley Young has been warming up, and he's jogging back towards the bench area now. So Unai Emery's hand could well be forced. Ings hooks it over his shoulder, hoping to send Bailey away on the right-hand side.
Yeah, he's struggling, Cash.
Because he's playing on this side of the pitch, Cash is in dialogue with the Villa bench. And Young hasn't re-emerged just yet, so I think that change is almost inevitable. Young will be digging out his shirt, as they have to do these days. Douglas Luiz finds Ramsey. Ramsey thunders it down the touchline. It drifts out of play. And Ollie Watkins is also being called back. So it looks like another double change. It's close. Manchester City still 3 up against Chelsea in the other game that's being played at the moment. Here, Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0 on BBC Radio WM and 5 Sports Extra. Here's Reeves looking to create an opening here for Stevenage, and his shot has got Olsen stretching. It drifts wide of the far post in the end. But that was decent from Jake Reeves. He's had a good game in the heart of midfield for Stevenage. Was hoping that would curl back, it didn't. Matty Cash is going to sit down now and make sure he gets off the field. And it's the inside of that right thigh, isn't it, around the groin area. And at this time of year, that will be a real concern for Unai Emery.
That's right, you don't want to take too many chances now. As soon as Cash started feeling it, the idea, get him off the pitch. As I say, Reeves has picked the ball up. He's only got one thought in his mind. He's got it on his knees, brought the ball down. He's always trying to bend it far post round Olsen, but he couldn't execute it properly. But at least they're starting to have more of a go now. They're looking at the time now and thinking, there's 70 minutes gone. This is the time now. Really go and push forward, see if you can get it. You might as well get beat 2-0 as opposed to getting beat 1-0. Just try and nick something from this game or get themselves back into the game for a second.
Ashley Young is prepared and ready, and we'll enter the fray with 19.5 minutes to go. Matty Cash looking rueful, actually rather sore, as he comes off, and Ollie Watkins will also make his entrance now, and that is going to be a direct swap for Danny Ings. Well, Danny Ings, who created the goal for Morgan Sanson with a very neat little turn around the corner, he is replaced by Ollie Watkins. So both teams have made 4 changes now at their possible 5. Captain's armband has gone where? Good to see. Thought it might have been on Ashley Young's arm, but it isn't at the moment. The referee is looking round as well. I think he's asking where the captain's armband is, and I think it left the pitch with Danny Ings.
Danny Ings will probably complain that he's probably not had too much service today. He'd expect the ball to be moved quicker so he can make little runs and get shots on goal, but he's had 70 minutes to work out, so that's at least something.
Villa overplaying a bit of the back here, and then Bednarek gives it away. And it's picked up by Campbell, but in turn he's lost possession, and here's Ramsey driving forward, gets over it, loose challenge there, and then overhits the ball out towards Bailey. And the referee is going to have a word with Campbell. He hasn't given anybody a caution in this game yet. Campbell may have come as close as anybody, tried to trip Jacob Ramsey there. That was an interesting test for his hamstring in his first game back, by the way.
He's picked the ball up and he strode forward as well. What we say, he tried to bring him down, but he sort of rode that tackle as well.
I remind myself of what we were saying at half-time. If Stevenage get to 75 minutes, still only 1 down, then at that point they can start throwing the kitchen sink at things. They are not far away from that point. It is still 1-0. Villa have been better in the second half than the first, but they haven't added to their goal tally. They were arguably fortunate to be in front at half-time. Chambers should have got the second, but couldn't quite squeeze it in. And the ball is out of play for a Stevenage throw on this near side. It'll be taken by Walden, who's now finding himself on the left-hand side of this Stevenage side. You see quite what system they're playing, because over on the right now it's Kane Smith. Is it a bit more of a 4? Possibly. I think Van Kooten may be being pushed into more of a central midfield role. So they are giving themselves more bodies to play forward. And maybe part of the wisdom of bringing Ollie Watkins on at this point is that they may be able to get in behind on the break if Stevenage do push. Reeves, who had that shot a couple of minutes ago, that might have been a warning sign. Oh, and it's been won back by Douglas Luiz, and now can Villa use the pace. Bailey back to Douglas Luiz, right-hand side, threads it through to Bailey. Nice control on the turn, tries to turn away from the challenge, and he can't. Excellent tracking back again from Stevenage, who take a liberty or two to try and get it out of defence, but on this occasion, that's okay, as Van Kooten forced himself between 2 claret and blue shirts. He receives it now. He's certainly been asked to push a bit higher up the pitch, the 25-year-old. Signed from Reading. Augustinsson judges a high ball out to the far side well, and he had to, because there were 2 men out there in Smith and Amu. Reed is playing down the middle. He's got half a dozen goals this season, the substitute, so Steve Evans' side are geared up now to have a right old go at Villa to try and get the equaliser.
It's probably always the plan. You keep yourself in the game, as you say. They've not got 2 or 3 goals ahead, and Villa have never looked like being 2 or 3 goals ahead. There's always a chance you can nick something and take this game to...
Sweeney looking long on the right-hand side. It's too tight to the edge of the penalty area, though, and Olsen is able to come out and play, but then quickly bowls it out to Ashley Young, because there is a bit of space to operate in here. Young finds Ramsey on the right-hand touchline. Infielder Dendoncker. Touch back to Ramsey, who's having to work back into his own half and use Chambers. Stevenage not quite mustering a press at this moment. Sean Roberts, who temporarily found himself at left wing back, is now as an attacking midfielder. Reeves is higher up the pitch as well. There's a good flexibility about this team. They've given everything so far. They trail by a goal to nil, and they all feel there's still something in it for them. Away side of Stoke City awaits the winners in round 4 as Dendoncker looks to hit a 65-yard ball out to Bailey on the right-hand side. It's got too much on it, but as they call it these days, it's a dead ball turnover. It goes out of play.
The idea was
right on the edge of the area.
They worked the ball. They played it nice and short. They played a couple of triangles, but all of a sudden Dendonker's picked the ball up and looking for the 30-40-yard diagonal, and he's just put too much on it and give possession away to Stevenage again.
Unai Emery, with his teeth gritted, doesn't really want a tense conclusion. 14 minutes of normal time to go. Headed forward by Ramsey. Watkins tries to hold off his man. Can't initially, but it's played back into him by Bailey. Douglas Luiz with an early cross because Buendia was bustling to get into the penalty area. Sweeney gets it away towards Wilding, and Wilding happy just to hammer it up towards halfway on this occasion. Bednarek with a smart ball forward towards Watkins. Laid off to Dendoncker. Young on the right-hand side has Bailey further forward, but he plays a more ambitious ball forward towards Ramsey inside right. Now he uses Bailey. Stabbed back by Douglas Luiz. Happy with possession, but then looking for an opening. Douglas Luiz for Ramsey, has room to turn, finds Bailey again, one-on-one with Wilding. Bailey down towards the byline, gets the cross in, too tight to the near post this time, and captured comfortably by Tay Ashby-Hammond.
Yeah, nice and positive from Leon Bailey. He's going to take his man on the outside. He's gone past him, and his cross was too near to the keeper, but at least he's nice and positive, trying to commit himself to the full-back.
Bednarek belts the ball out of play on the far side as they hit the channels looking for a move. Getting him in behind. The home fans are quiet. The noise you can hear is on the far side.
They'll get more and more like that the last few minutes, because obviously at 1-0 the game's never settled, and there's always a chance the opposition can nick back into the game.
Van Kooten's ball forward might arrive with a move, but it's then played off him by a stretching Augustinson, who immediately puts his hand up. Whether that's a bit of cramp or what, I don't know. He's sitting on his back with his knees tucked up.
Yeah, he's holding his ankle as well.
Yeah. So let's have a look at the challenge again. Yeah, it might have taken a bit of firm contact there.
Yeah.
Luca Dean is on the bench if Villa want a light-for-light replacement. He's immediately putting on his yellow tabard to go and do his warming up.
He's had some luck, Augustinson. He played, I think it was his debut he played, and he got an injury that took him out for about 6 weeks. Come back into the team. He came on the night against Wolves and looked very, very bright for the last 20-25 minutes, and hopefully he hasn't really hurt himself too much, but he is grimacing a bit.
12 minutes in added time. He gets patted on the chest by Robin Olsen.
It's just what you want, isn't it?
And he was stretching his right leg, but they're looking at his left ankle. There's a bit of everything here. As he went in and won that ball, and it has flicked up really awkwardly on the surface. His toe kind of got stuck and has turned his left ankle around on the inside, and the physio talking to him a little bit longer and seeing whether he's okay to come up on his feet. I think he's going to try and walk this one off, is the impression I get. He's sitting up at the moment. He's grimacing with pain. That doesn't look particularly clever.
Yeah. So the fact he put his hands up straight away as he went down, and he stayed with his hands up, implies that he felt he got a really bad injury.
It's a sharp pain initially, but it doesn't appear to be dissipating. So Luca Dean is warming up with increasing intent. Danny Ings is jogging down the touchline now to head back to the changing room by the look of it. He looks fine, which is the important thing from Villa's point of view. And Augustinson is being helped off with his arm over the shoulders of the physios. This isn't one he's going to walk off. He's hobbling quite significantly, and Luca Dean is going to have to come on. So another enforced substitution for Villa. Both of their starting fullbacks today have picked up knocks.
Yeah, I mean, he's walking off now. As you say, he's got the physio's got his arm around him, but he is grimacing. He does look in an awful lot of pain. I thought initially, as you said, the first bit of pain, and then it sort of dissipates a bit, but this has stayed with him. He does look in a bit of bother.
Emi Buendia is temporarily filling in at left back, which isn't something you'd want to see tested too much.
Not with a diagonal.
No. So Villa with 10 for a brief moment. Luca Dean will be ready in the next stoppage in play. He's just getting his tracksuit bottoms off at some length, but everything else is ready for him. The Stevenage are throwing a lot of bodies forward. They can't work it though, and Buendia gives it up towards Watkins. The layoff was slightly short, but then Donker wins it back, and Watkins is turning on the afterburners here as he reaches the edge of the penalty area, and that's a really good challenge by Sweeney. Buendia has his hands out saying, well, why didn't you give it to me? Douglas Luiz is now at left back because Buendia is so high up the pitch. And here comes a move for Stevenage, plays it back 30 yards behind him though. And Villa have a chance to regroup. And Buendia says, I'm okay, I'm at left back again now. It's angled towards the near side. Wildin was offside. Flag goes up, and that means that Villa can get back to a full quorum. Lukadine comes on for Ludwig Augustinsson, who is still making his way behind the goal. He's now within 25 yards of the tunnel area, but he is walking very gingerly. That's a proper ankle turn, which, as long as he hasn't done any ligament damage, might not even hold him out of the game on Friday, but if he has, it'll be more of a concern. I want to see Lamar Bagard involved in the squad maybe on Friday for the game against Leeds United in the Premier League. Neatly worked on the right hand side here by Villa. Stevenage are pressing high up, but they've got a lot of players high up the pitch, but Ashley Young can carry it forward in towards Buendia, lays it off the right side of the box, and Ramsey with the cross, couldn't pick out a man. Neat handling by Ashby Hammond. That was a very good opportunity for 2-0.
Yeah, decent bit of play by Aston Villa as well. By the time you release Jacob Ramsey, he's running out of ground. He's got to pull the ball back. He's tried to pull it back, but he's gone straight to the arms of the keeper. Unai Emery turns away, not happy with the ball into the box. But Ramsey was running out of space to deliver a ball into the area.
Yeah, it just felt like he really didn't pick a man when there was the opportunity to do so. And there will potentially be other opportunities on the break, because Stevenage, understandably, are committing as many as they can forward. Realistically,
with 8 minutes to go, they've got to throw everything at the kitchen sink before a bit, and just hopefully they can nick something from the game. Aston Villa trying to keep the ball, hopefully working an angle, but in a minute Stevenage have to really go all guns blazing.
Bednarek out to the left hand side, and Buendia challenge over there from Amu. That's going to go out of play for a throw. Final change for Stevenage is going to be made. The only outfield player on the bench not to have been introduced yet is the very experienced Michael Bostwick, who will come on for Terence Van Kooten to play that role in front of the defence. So Bostwick will get the final 7 minutes plus added time to try and have his impact. He's a holder, but he's got a goal in him. He's got more than 20 goals for Stevenage. Well over 200 appearances.
What age will he be now, Bostwick?
34 now.
He's seen him play a long time.
Yeah. Been a good player as well, and you know, these days players don't necessarily chalk up a lot of FA Cup appearances in a career. This is his 35th, which is it is rare.
Yeah.
Here's Buendia looking to open it up on the right hand side here for Leon Bailey, who's going to get the full 90 tonight. Now, defender comes across to meet him, he cuts in field, can he open up a shot? Oh, and he fires it over. Plenty of power on it for Leon Bailey, but he couldn't keep it under the crossbar. He appeals belatedly for a corner. The referee doesn't see it that way. But Bailey trying to finish the tie off for Unai Emery.
He's trying to be nice and positive as well. He's picked the ball up, he's come inside onto his left foot. He's obviously trying to either smash it towards the goal, but with a little bit of bend on it as well. He's tried to claim it out the corner, but it was a decent effort from Bailey. At least he's been nice and positive, and especially trying to wash the taste out of what happened the other day against Wolves. That was now.
Aston Villa 1, Stevenage 0. 6 minutes to go. Stevenage still very much alive. There's Dean on the far side. Buendia forced to play it back to his keeper, Robin Olsen. Olsen just outside his 6-yard box will float it to the near side, and Ashley Young. Lovely chest control from Young, who drags it back knowing that he's been closed down by Jordan Roberts. Back to Chambers and back to Olsen once more. It's a sign of the respect they have for this Stevenage side, but he's given it away, and then Donker with a shirt pull. Surely that's got to be a penalty.
That's a pen, isn't it?
There's a shirt pull there. The referee is giving it outside the penalty area.
Ooh, all right.
Villa taking too many touches. VAR will have a look, and now the referee is signalling that it will be a penalty, and it's going to be a red card for Leander Dendoncker. And Villa absolutely play themselves into trouble. Stevenage are pressing high up the pitch, and now they're going to have an opportunity from the penalty spot to level this tie-up. And Leander Dendoncker, with what was the most obvious shirt pull you could wish to see, He's going to find himself sent off. He was tackled initially. The first pull, by the way, was outside the penalty area, and VAR are having a look at that. The sending off is going to stand come what may. There's no chance that Dendoncker will have that overturned. The question will be whether the foul should be given inside the box or outside the box, Tommy.
Well, to be honest, I don't think Villa can have any complaints if he does give a penalty, because they've had the chance with the goalkeeper and then the ball into Dendoncker. They've had a chance to clear their lines. They were only 1-0 up. It only takes us one mistake. Ball's played to Dendoncker. He took a touch, but then he's trying to do a little step over, and hopefully the player's going to fall for it. Player does not fall for it. All of a sudden he's grabbing his shirt, then he brings him down. If they give a penalty, they cannot complain. To be fair to Stevenage, they've kept themselves in the game, and they'd be very, very unfortunate if this isn't a penalty for them.
I've got a feeling that it may be given as a free kick, but you know what?
But it carries on into the box.
The referee initially gave the free kick, he then gave the penalty, and the smart thing about that is that brings VAR into play.
Right.
And, you know, we will see what happens. VAR is still contemplating this. And is there further contact inside the box is what seems to be what they're looking at now. The shirt pull is outside initially, and whether it stops while it's still outside is hard to tell. It's Campbell, the man who was tugged over.
I think the shirt pull stops as just he's entering the box, but then he tries to lean across him. So maybe they're going to give it for that. But to be fair, it's almost like you brought it on yourself. You clear your lines, defend properly. I know the manager wants them to play out at times, but sometimes you've got to use your brain. They're going to push onto you. You have to go and play the ball in their half. Go and turn, get them turned. Keep the ball away from your goal. You're trying to play little 5-yard balls in and around your penalty box.
Graham Scott is receiving communication, and the penalty has been confirmed. What an opportunity for Stevenage. We're going into the final 3 minutes of normal time. Dendonker's red card was never going to be overturned anyway. And it's a wonderful, wonderful opportunity for Jamie Reid, the substitute, taking on Robin Olsen, the birthday boy in goal for Villa. Will try and make his own day by saving this, but Reid stands 4 yards from the ball, hands on hips, approaches now and fires it into the corner of the net, and Stevenage are level. They've hung around in this game. Villa were unable to kill it off, and in the end, when they're caught out making a mistake at the back, the penalty is converted very crisply, very coolly by Jamie Reid. Just over 2 minutes to go. Villa 1, Stevenage 1.
You'll have to say fair play to Stevenage. They kept themselves in the game. As you say, they hung around, they stayed in the game, they never gave up. They kept hoping we can get something from this game, defended properly, waited for Aston Villa. Aston Villa need the second goal. Get the second goal, you finish this thing off. Don't get the second goal. All of a sudden, they're playing around the edge of their own box, give away a penalty, suck the penalty in well, thoroughly deserve it. And to be fair, their organisation's been very, very good, and they'll be looking at this thing, we deserve it, and they can't wait to get Aston Villa back to their ground now.
We've mentioned it several times today. Aston Villa have not won an FA Cup tie since 2016. Manchester City, by the way, lead Chelsea 4-0. Riyad Mahrez's second goal of the game is a penalty. Second penalty Man City have scored, 2 different scorers for those. Now, have Villa got time? Have Stevenage got time to settle it without a replay? I think the manager would necessarily fancy a replay, although Stevenage, for their coffers, it would be a very good thing. For their promotion campaign, perhaps a bit less so, but they will take confidence from this performance. It has been the model of what you have to do away against the Premier League side. Hang around, stick around, give yourselves a chance at the game. They've won it back on halfway here.
Tell you what.
Here's Roberts out to the right-hand side, and Amu goes expressing down the right-hand side. Cross is blocked, it's out of play, and it will be a corner. They will appeal for handball because the arms were raised of Douglas Luiz. But for now, it's a corner. We'll see whether VAR intervenes. We're in the final minute of added time. Amu's cross, well, that's hit the back of the top of the arm of Douglas Luiz, whose arm is in, again, what you would claim is a natural position.
It'd be incredibly unfortunate.
Yeah. Only the second corner that Stevenage have had. The first time, Piergiani got a header that floated wide,
That's
but
right.
he did get onto it.
This team are strong at set pieces as well, and this is ideal for them. The amount of work they have put into these just for that one opportunity. It's a great opportunity for them now.
Reeves takes it short. Campbell has come to the edge of the penalty area, fires in, the shot, whistles it in, and Stevenage have stolen it in the final minute of normal time. Villa absolutely asleep for the corner. It was taken short to Campbell and left-footed. He's hit it arrow straight into the corner of the net, and the League Two side are in front. Villa 1, Stevenage 2.
And just watching Luca Dean with Ollie Watkins there, they ended up in a slanging match as well, screaming at each other. Luca Dean more than Ollie Watkins, he's pointing to and telling him where he should have been, as if he's saying to Ollie Watkins, you should have been on that man. But that's the fast asleep, short corner, driven into the box, 2-1 down. That's the Villa now. 6 minutes they've given. 6 minutes to try and resurrect, save their cup season.
As things stand, it's Stevenage who will go to Stoke in 3 weeks' time. Villa fans are streaming away in several parts of the ground. It's a match they've had enough chances to win, comfortably. Yeah. But Stevenage have defended resolutely.
As you say, they've hung in there, they've made sure it did get to 2-0, they defended really well, they've just kept themselves in the game, waiting for the opportunity. They got the opportunity, all of a sudden you're thinking, great, we can take it back to our place. Then they get a chance from a corner, from a set piece, Villa go asleep, find themselves 2 down, or 2-1 down.
Really was some hit, that as well. It really was. Villa on the brink of going out the FA Cup at the third round stage again. Last won a third round replay here against Wycombe in January 2016. Since then, 7 successive defeats. And they've had some tough draws over the years. They've lost to lower division opposition when Fulham were in the Championship and Villa were in the Premier League. Also at home to Peterborough. Uncle Boswick probably played in that. As Douglas Luiz hits it out towards the far side, and Luca Dean has Buendia behind him. Back to Dean again. They almost bump into each other. Infield for Ramsey. Ramsey to Buendia, looking to scoot away from his man to create. It's deflected back towards Douglas Luiz, who does well to shrug off that challenge. But Villa with a real hint of desperation. It's out towards Bailey. Bailey, who had a shot a few moments ago that would have made it 2-0 at the time. Now they trail by 2-1, and he's going to win a free kick on the far side. The Stevenage bench are not terribly impressed by that, but it is going to be an opportunity to float one into the penalty area. Douglas Luiz is in a hurry to get on with it. Villa have had 16 shots to Stevenage's 7, but on target it's only 3-2 to Villa, which is a key reflection of a lot of long-range efforts in the first half that weren't going to trouble anybody other than the crowd behind the goal.
Aston Villa side of it, they've just kept themselves at 1-0 and just thought, well, we'll see the game through. As soon as you get to 1, all of a sudden you've got a problem.
This free kick on the right-hand side is 15 yards from the byline. Bailey and Douglas Luiz standing over it. And it's Douglas Luiz with an outswinger. It's headed away as far as Bailey, who side foots it miles wide. Never got his body in the proper shape for that. It goes behind, 3 more minutes of added time to go. 32,343 the official attendance. The 3,000 who've made their way up from Stevenage at the moment are in heaven.
This is a wildest dreams. They thought coming to Aston Villa, this was going to be their cup final, as it were. Now there's a chance they could go. They could be playing Stoke as well. So all of a sudden, say, does the Coffers the world are good, but they're defended, they've been organised. They thoroughly deserve. If they do go through, they thoroughly deserve it. Aston Villa ruin the chance at 1-0. You have to get the second goal. You have to finish this tie off.
The goalkeeper, I don't think he's going to take this until the referee gives him a yellow card. In the end, he eventually does hit it forward, and it's flicked on by Reed. It goes through to the keeper. Man City Chelsea is all over, 4-0. Man City will be at home to either Oxford or Arsenal in round 4. Here Villa need a goal to force a replay. We've seen some late drama in West Midlands football this weekend with the Baggies late equaliser. Wolves almost seizing victory late on at Liverpool, and the Saddlers with a stoppage time winner from the penalty spot at Stockport earlier today. But Villa 5 minutes ago wouldn't have dreamt the fact they'd been looking for a desperate equaliser. They move it out to the right-hand side, and Bailey with the cross into the 6-yard box. He's too far in front of Watkins. Dean will try and chase it down on the far side. He can't. It didn't take a deflection, says the referee, so it'll be a Stevenage throw. Frustration mounts for the home side. There's something about the FA Cup and Villa in recent years, Gary Thompson. It won't go right for him.
I know it's me saying they always seem to play Man United, but this time they play little Stevenage, as it were, and Stevenage will thoroughly deserve to get their nose in front. Hopefully Villa can get one more chance with about a minute and a half to go, but it is looking bleak now for Aston Villa.
They are one of the outstanding teams in League Two. 56 places separate these two sides in the league pyramid. And there have been times in the game where that has shown a little bit.
Yeah.
But Stevenage never ducked their heads, they never lost their discipline, and now they look to break away on the right-hand side. Here's Amu, looking for the shot, takes a deflection off Bednarek and breaks kindly for Olsen, who's then thrown to the ground by the outstretched arm of Roberts. Free kick given. Referee doesn't give the yellow card as much as anything, I think, because he just knows that delays proceedings. It's the final 30 seconds of the initial 6 minutes added time. The ball won't reach Ollie Watkins in the area. It was well defended by Sweeney. Lifted over halfway. Roberts will get it under control. He'll be flagged offside now. Flicks it away from Ashley Young, who shows his frustration with proceedings. And Villa will have a free kick that will have to launch. There might be a few added seconds beyond the 6 minutes. Ashley Young's asking Robin Olsen to come forward to take the goal kick. And he launches it long towards Watkins. Watkins does enough to win it in the air for Leon Bailey, but Bailey shows too much of it to the defender. It's Campbell, and it's Campbell who now celebrates the final whistle, because it's he who has scored the winning goal. The 21-year-old from Aberdeen has sent Stevenage through to the 4th round of the FA Cup in a game that they trailed until the 88th minute. It was then that Villa, messing around at the back like so many teams do, had Dendoncker concede possession inside the D, tugged at the shirt of the man who'd taken it off him, and when he went down, initially the referee gave the free kick, decided it was a penalty, VAR agreed, the penalty dispatched very nicely by Jamie Reid, and then 2 minutes later, with Dendoncker having been sent off in that incident, the 10 men of Villa absolutely asleep for a short corner, taken to Campbell, who drove the ball in from the right side of the penalty area with a crisp left-footed shot that found the corner of the net. And Aston Villa's misery in the FA Cup, stretching back to 2016, continues here, beaten by 2-1. And Gary Thompson, you said it in the last few minutes, that the way that Stevenage have come and executed their game plan and played with a bit of verve as well on the break in the first half, could have been in front, had a goal disallowed in that period for a very marginal offside. It's hard to argue with what they've achieved here this afternoon.
You look at the Stevenage side, as you say, their organisation, their belief in what they're trying to do, that's got them to second in the table. They believe they can get something from the game. At 1-0, they're always in the game, and as you said, they hung around. They didn't give Villa too many opportunities. Villa never stepped up the game and got the second goal. Always a chance to get themselves back in the game. At 1-1, all of a sudden, the disappointment from Aston Villa, they fall asleep on a set piece. 2-1, you have to say, Stevenage deserve it. They made sure they didn't get swamped, they didn't get beat 2 or 3 down. They've kept themselves in the game, and as you say, there was always the opportunity. They took their opportunity, and that's what you get for playing around at the back. Instead of moving the ball, looking forward, being progressive in what you're trying to do, you were inviting them to come onto you. This should be a harsh lesson learned for Aston Villa. You cannot mess around your own the penalty area. You've got to move the ball forward, look progressive in what you're trying to do, finish games off.
Well, the stats will show that Aston Villa have had a lot of attempts at goal in the game.
Yeah.
But Stevenage, for their point of view, didn't allow them to have many inside the penalty area. They prevented the entry pass. I mean, the goal was neatly worked, the layoff for Ings from Morgan Sanson to put Villa in the lead. But beyond that, particularly the 3 big centre-backs protected that penalty area.
That's right, and if you're going to move, you've got 3 centre-backs, you have to move them around. You have to move the ball quickly and move them around. All of a sudden, Villa are too slow, too pedestrian in what they're trying to do. So the centre-backs will set the positions they were in, and the midfield players were setting the positions they were in as well. It's only when Sanson started running and drawing it up with Danny Ings to centre forward, they started moving them a little bit. They got the opportunity, they got the goal, but really, they did too little, and it was too little too late. Didn't deserve it. You have to say Stevenage on the balance thoroughly deserve it, and Villa fans have walked away. Stevenage deserve all their applause because they have stepped to the game plan and got what they deserve today. 8
changes today made by Villa, but it is a reminder to Unai Emery of the work that needs to be done here, and maybe that the squad isn't as deep as he needs it to be.
No, I mean, he's a manager known as a cup manager as well, but as you say, the reason why Unai Emery comes in here, because this club needs lifting, needs moving forward, and he's got a lot of work ahead.
On BBC Radio WM, the football phone-in, of course, is with you every weekday evening. I'll be in the chair tomorrow from 6. So much to mull over from this FA Cup weekend. Extraordinary. Villa, the one West Midlands side to fall, and they've fallen in spectacular fashion to this outstanding Stevenage side. Excellent performance from them.